Chapter 790. When Yi Chen heard this, he immediately opened his eyes and looked at Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mizhen, Huang Wan'er and the five Jin sisters. He said emotionally, "Thank you for your hard work." Previously, Liang Fulong's 8 trigrams formation in the reincarnation forest had used the power to reverse yin and yang and reverse heaven and earth to create a ghost realm. Originally, there was no need to worry about a simple ghost realm. Yi Chen's reincarnation Immortal City army was completely capable of killing it easily. However, the ghost realm, which was supported by the power of reverse yin and yang and reverse heaven and earth, was an extremely special existence. To be more precise, the ghost realm, which was supported by this special power, had an endless army of evil spirits. The more they killed, the stronger they became. It could be said that as time passed, the danger level of the ghost realm in the reincarnation forest would increase rapidly. When the girls realized this, they did not care about their own safety and joined the battle in order to protect the reincarnation Immortal City. In this way, the danger that the girls who rushed to the front line would face would increase rapidly as the danger level of the ghost realm increased rapidly. However, none of the girls retreated. They stood in front of the reincarnation Immortal City army and faced the unkillable army of evil spirits head-on. How could Yi Chen, who was called back to the game world by Guai, not be moved after realizing this? It was also because of this that Yi Chen, who had gone to the real world to kill Liang Fulong and returned to the game world, directly said these seemingly ordinary but touching words after hearing the girls' cries. When Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mizhen, Huang Wan'er and the five Jin sisters heard this, they all felt warmth in their hearts. Then, they said in unison, "Husband, this is what we should do." When Yi Chen heard this, a warm current flowed through his heart again. At this moment, comfort, warmth, and the feeling of, with a wife like this, what more can a husband ask for, appeared in Yi Chen's heart. Yi Chen let out a long sigh, then nodded gently and said, "Thank you." The five-colored divine light is an extremely special innate divine ability. It's very strong. Since you've obtained it, you must use it skillfully and then control it. When you have nothing to do, you can let the maids use the magic treasures, and you can use the five-colored divine light to farm these magic treasures. Previously, when the girls were fighting against the Ghost Domain's evil spirit army in the Wheel Forest, each of them could fly in the air. Yi Chen, who had noticed this abnormality, then discovered the fact that the girls had the five-colored divine light on them. Originally, Yi Chen wanted to ask the girls about the five-colored divine light, and then tell them what they should pay attention to. However, Yi Chen had to kill Liang Fulong, who had attacked the reincarnation Immortal City. As a result, after Yi Chen had dealt with the ghost realm, he had returned to the real world and chased after Liang Fulong. He did not immediately tell the girls about the five-colored divine light. Now that Yi Chen had returned, he naturally wouldn't ignore this matter casually. It should be known that it was the five-colored divine light. Everything in the world could farm the five-colored divine light. If this divine ability was left aside and not cultivated, it would be a waste. What Yi Chen said about using the five-colored divine light to farm magic treasures was the simplest and most direct way to cultivate the five-colored divine light. This method could allow the girls to quickly familiarize themselves with the ability of the five-colored divine light and the method of using it. Of course, the girls could also quickly improve their understanding of the five-colored divine light in the process of constantly farming magic treasures. It could be said that farming magic treasures was a necessary process to master the five-colored divine light. Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mizhen, Huang Wan'er and the five Jin sisters were all stunned when they heard this. They did not expect Yi Chen to know that they had the five-colored divine light. Originally, they wanted to treat this as a surprise and tell Yi Chen. Who would have thought that before they could say it, Yi Chen directly pointed it out. After coming back to their senses, the girls looked at each other helplessly. Then, they all looked at Yi Chen and said seriously, Brother Yi, don't worry. Yes, husband. Although the girls wanted to give Yi Chen a surprise, they knew that Yi Chen never opened his mouth casually. It was precisely because of this that when the girls heard Yi Chen's instructions, they immediately noticed that the five-colored divine light they had just obtained was unusual. It was also because they knew that the five-colored divine light was unusual that the girls were so serious. After all, they did not want to be vases. They all wanted to do something for Yi Chen. Hearing this, Yi Chen nodded with a smile. Then, he waved his right hand, and 100 magic treasure-level long swords appeared in the hall. Looking at the 100 magic treasure-level long swords on the ground, Yi Chen said, "Use these swords first. Take these and use them first. If these transcendent artifacts are wasted, don't feel distressed and don't worry. Soon, the reincarnation immortal city will have as many of these things as they want. Moreover, your husband's magic treasures are enough for you to reach the eldritch world." Yi Chen had already started to train craftsmen. Otherwise, he would not have brought 10 blacksmiths to the real world. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that once the craftsmen appeared, they could continuously forge magic treasures, spiritual treasures, and even magic treasures with the help of the divine blacksmith shop. In this way, Yi Chen could use the cauldron of heaven and earth to create magic treasures, immortal weapons, and even divine weapons in large quantities. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen told the girls to grind magic treasures as much as they wanted. There was no need to worry that the magic treasures would be destroyed. If other players knew about Yi Chen's actions, they would definitely curse out loud. Did he have to be so perverted? Did he have to be so rich? When Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Mei Mizhen, Huang Wan and Zhen Ju Se heard this, the 5 sisters smiled sweetly in unison. "Yes, husband." Hearing this, Yi Chen chuckled and nodded his head, before a thought flashed through his mind. In the next second, Hua Tuo, who had been subdued in the real world and kept in the small world, appeared in the hall. When the girls saw this, they were all stunned. They did not expect Yi Chen to summon a living person. Seeing that the girls were stunned, Yi Chen could not help but smile. He then pointed to Hua Tuo, who was muttering to himself while holding the emerald bamboo shoot, and said, "This is Hua Tuo." Hua Tuo. Zhao Yu was stunned when she heard this. She then looked at Yi Chen and asked in confusion, "Hua Tuo? Are you talking about Hua Tuo, Miracle Dr. Hua?" When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded. He then looked at Zhao Yu and said, "Yes, he is Hua Tuo." Zhao Yu had become Yi Chen's woman and had mastered many top cultivation skills. However, this could not erase the fact that Zhao Yu used to be a senior doctor. It was because of this that Zhao Yu was stunned when she heard Hua Tuo's name and asked Yi Chen about it. Of course, this did not mean that Zhao Yu admired Hua Tuo. It was because Hua Tuo had traveled the world and was not interested in fame and fortune. Therefore, everyone knew about him. However, now that Hua Tuo had appeared in the reincarnation immortal city, how could Zhao Yu not be surprised? As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, Hua Tuo, who was muttering to himself with the emerald bamboo shoot, came to his senses. After looking around, Hua Tuo hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen and said, "Greetings, master." After bowing to Yi Chen, Hua Tuo hurriedly bowed to the women and said, "Greetings, mistresses." The women were confused by Hua Tuo's big bow. Just when they were puzzled by Hua Tuo calling Yi Chen master, Yi Chen waved to the door. A maidservant hurried to the hall and bowed to Yi Chen. "You Master Beach." Yi Chen nodded and then looked at Hua Tuo and said, "Follow her to find Feng Xiao and ask him to arrange a place for you. By the way, you can check Feng Xiao's body and see if he needs any treatment." "Yes, Master." When Hua Tuo heard this, he did not dare to delay and hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen. However, he was immediately stunned when he realized that Yi Chen was still holding the jadeite bamboo shoot. Noticing this, Hua Tuo's face turned red. He hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen. "Please forgive me, master. Hua Tuo is not." Hearing this, Yi Chen waved his hand and said, "It's fine. The foundation for a pharmacist to become an alchemist is to be familiar with medicinal properties. After that, you need to know how to transplant and cultivate. Just take the emerald bamboo shoot and study it. If you need anything, you can find Mi Zhu. He will solve it for you. Hua Tuo was the alchemist Yi Chen wanted to cultivate. Of course, he would not care about the emerald bamboo shoot. Although it could allow an ordinary person to directly advance to the mortal evolution state, Yi Chen did not care. No matter how many spirit herbs there were, no matter how good they were, only alchemists could maximize their effects. Chapter 791. Hua Tuo heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Yi Chen's words. He then bowed to Yi Chen solemnly. "Thank you, master." Hearing this, Yi Chen smiled and nodded, then waved his hand. Seeing this, Hua Tuo hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen again, then followed the maidservant and left the hall. At this moment, a world announcement was heard. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for subduing a special historical figure, Miracle Dr. Hua Tuo. Due to his special status, player Yi Chen is rewarded with purple gold coins x 1 million. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for subduing a special historical figure, Lu Xie, the second prince of the Great Han Empire. Due to his special status, player Yi Chen is rewarded with purple gold coins x 1 million. The world announcement was repeated 3 times and the entire world channel exploded. F*CK. F*CK. What's going on? It's fine that Hua Tuo was subdued by Yi Chen, but why is Lu Xie also subdued by Yi Chen? F*CK. There's no justice in this world. Isn't Lu Xie the key to Chaoning's success? How can he be subdued? F*CK. That's cheating. It's definitely cheating. If it's not cheating, I'll write my name backwards. Motherf***, Yi Chen is already a freak. If this continues, who the F***ck can go against Yi Chen? Hee, you want to resist? Dream on. Boss Yi Chen is the most powerful. The Great Han Empire is destined to be under Boss Yi Chen's control. I'm not convinced. We started from the same place. How can Yi Chen become stronger and stronger? He subdued this and that and got so many good things. And I haven't even broken through to the Xiantian realm. Not convinced? What can you do? You haven't broken through to the Xiantian realm yet because you're stupid. Look at me, I've been following Boss Yi Chen and am now an Emperor-level general. By the way, don't you find it strange? Why is Yi Chen able to subdue Hua Tuo and Lu Xie at the same time? What's so strange about that? Hua Tuo and Lu Xie must have been together, and then they were both subdued by Yi Chen. Idiot, that's the problem. Who is Hua Tuo and who is Lu Xie? The two of them have no connection at all. What's the point of thinking so much? What does this have to do with us individual players? The ones who should be having a headache are the Lord-class players. Now that Yi Chen has even subdued Lu Xie, I'm sure that once the vassal war begins, it won't be long before Yi Chen unifies the world. Hee, that's for sure. When Boss Yi Chen dominates the world, Lu Xie will obediently abdicate his position. It will be perfectly justifiable. The world channel was in an uproar. Yi Chen glanced at it and curled his lips in disdain. Justifiable? You're thinking too much. If it was before, perhaps I would have done that. But now, there's no way I'll let Lu Xie abdicate his position. It wasn't that Yi Chen hadn't thought of justifying his position. Yi Chen had thought of it before, but after Yi Chen obtained the Heavenly Book, he had completely abandoned this idea. To be more precise, Yi Chen would only do one thing in the near future, and that was to conquer the world. After unifying the country, he would directly ascend the throne in his own name and not accept Lu Xie's abdication. The reason for Yi Chen's decision wasn't complicated. To be more precise, if Yi Chen really accepted Lu Xie's abdication after unifying the world, then Yi Chen would be branded with the Lu clan mark. This way, Yi Chen's path to the throne, or rather, his path to fortune, would come to an end. This wasn't alarmist talk. It was the truth. After all, no matter how the name of the inherited empire was changed, it couldn't change the fact that the first emperor wasn't Yi Chun. Under such circumstances, even if Yi Chun gathered the 3 basic items of the Fortune dynasty, he wouldn't be able to resonate with heaven and earth through a sacrifice. In this way, the Samsara Empire that Yi Chun had inherited from the Lu clan would not be able to advance into a Fortune dynasty. It was also because of this that Yi Chun had never considered letting Lu Xie abdicate his position. Of course, this was something that Yi Chun had vaguely realized when he dripped his blood on the heavenly book to recognize it as his master after obtaining it. It seemed illusory, but Yi Chun saw it more clearly than anyone else. This was because Yi Chun had 2 other identities, which were the Son of Fortune and the Great Path Inheritor. With these 2 identities, Yi Chun wasn't like other people who would casually sense something or discover that it was fake in the end. To be precise, Yi Chun wouldn't easily sense something. Once it happened, it was basically a reminder to Yi Chun not to take the wrong path or pay attention to something. It was also because of this that Yi Chun completely abandoned the idea of accepting Lu Xie's abdication and peacefully inheriting the Great Han Empire after sensing the disadvantages of abdicating his position. As for this, it might lead to backlash and protest. Yi Chun didn't care, nor did he care. This was because Yi Chun knew very well what kind of people would jump out at Yi Chun because he didn't accept the abdication. Yi Chun wouldn't be merciful to these people. Even if there were some ignorant or even bewitched people among them, Yi Chun wouldn't hesitate in the slightest. This didn't mean that Yi Chun was bloodthirsty or muddle-headed, but that Yi Chun had to do this. This was because Yi Chun wouldn't allow his path to be blocked or destroyed by anyone. To be more precise, no matter who stood in front of Yi Chun's path to the throne and obstructed Yi Chun would kill them without mercy. Of course, after Yi Chun completely revealed the strength of the reincarnation immortal city, not many people would dare to jump out and oppose Yi Chun's independence as the emperor. However, even if not many people dared to jump out, Yi Chun would carry out a large-scale trial before the whole country ascended. This was because Yi Chun wanted to kill all those who opposed him and did all kinds of evil in the Samsara Empire. Yi Chun didn't want any opposing forces or scum to exist in his empire. If he didn't kill all these people and let them follow Yi Chun, it wouldn't be long before Yi Chun's Samsara Empire was in turmoil. Yi Chun didn't want to see this result. Get rid of the impurities and keep the pure. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help raising his eyebrows. At this moment, Zhao Yu, who was next to Yi Chun, seemed to have made up her mind. She directly looked at Yi Chun and asked, "My husband, did you get the medical skills that even Hua Tuo, the miracle-working doctor, was shocked by? Not the medical skills, but the secret book of Elixir Dao, the treasure book of the Pill Lord. If you learn it, you can refine all kinds of elixirs, even immortal elixirs." Yi Chun immediately smiled when he heard this, after which, he looked towards Zhao Yu and spoke. However, Yi Chun was immediately stunned after he finished speaking. When Zhao Yu followed Yi Chun, she was already a senior doctor. Now she suddenly asked Yi Chun, "If you got the medical skills that even Hua Tuo was shocked by?" It was definitely not a casual question. It seemed that Zhao Yu didn't want to give up the medical skills. No, it was not that Zhao Yu didn't want to give up the medical skills, but, when Yi Chun was thinking of this, Zhao Yu's eyes lit up when she heard Yi Chun's explanation. Then she looked at Yi Chun without hesitation and asked, "My husband, I want to learn the treasure book of the Pill Lord and refine elixirs for you." When Yi Chun heard this, he couldn't help but feel a warm current flowing through his heart. Sure enough, Zhao Yu wanted to learn alchemy for him. Chapter 792. Thinking of this, Yi Chun could not help but feel warm in his heart. He reached out and gently held Zhao Yu in his arms. "If my wife wants to learn, how can I reject her? However, my wife, even though concocting pills is beneficial to me and the reincarnation immortal city, the path of medicine is long and boring. It will also delay other cultivation. That's right. Just as Yi Chen said this, Zhao Yu, who was in Yi Chen's arms, suddenly looked up at Yi Chen and said seriously, "As long as I can help my husband, no matter if it's boring or long, I won't have the slightest complaint because I want to share my husband's burdens." Hearing this, Yi Chen could not help but feel warm in his heart again. After gently touching Zhao Yu's hair, Yi Chen lowered his head and kissed Zhao Yu's forehead. Then he said seriously, "In that case, I will teach you the Book of the Pill Lord. However, you must remember that alchemy is only an auxiliary skill. You should focus on the Green Lotus sword technique and the Talisman of Chaos during your daily cultivation. The rest of your time should be spent on the cultivation of the five-colored divine light. The rest of your time should be spent on learning alchemy. Alchemy could be used to refine elixirs that could speed up cultivation, heal injuries, and restore Dharma power. It was very helpful for practitioners. However, the problem was that no matter how helpful the elixir was, it could not erase its auxiliary nature. Even if one reached the top in alchemy, he would only be an alchemist. In terms of strength, such an existence would never be able to catch up with those who practiced regular cultivation methods. Of course, this did not mean that one could not become a sage even if he practiced alchemy to the extreme. In fact, alchemy could also produce a sage. However, the problem was that it was extremely difficult for an alchemy sage to succeed. Even if he succeeded, most of his ability was only shown in alchemy, and not used to deal with enemies. It was also because of this reason that when Yi Chen heard that Zhao Yu wanted to learn alchemy, he solemnly told Zhao Yu that she could learn alchemy, but alchemy could only be a side job or a hobby. She couldn't make it her main job. After all, after Yi Chen ascended to the primeval world, the enemies he had to face were most of the natives of the primeval world and the players, who had also ascended to the primeval world. It could be said that once Yi Chen ascended to the untainted land, he would be the enemy of the whole world. Under such circumstances, how could Yi Chen allow Zhao Yu to only refine elixirs without the ability to protect herself? As soon as Yi Chen's words fell, Zhao Yu was stunned for a moment. Then, she nodded seriously and said, "This concubine will listen to my husband." When Yi Chen heard this, he immediately smiled and said with a chuckle, "Madam, please wait for a moment." After Yi Chen finished speaking, he thought for a moment and then said, "That's right. Huata, let me use the Book of the Pill Lord for a moment." When Yi Chen subdued Huata, he directly gave him the Book of the Pill Lord. Now, Yi Chen did not have the Book of the Pill Lord with him. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have said this. After saying this, Yi Chen raised his right hand and made a grabbing motion in the air. In the next second, the heavy Book of the Pill Lord flew in from outside the Castellan mansion and into Yi Chen's hands in the blink of an eye. After glancing at the Book of the Pill Lord, Yi Chen thought for a moment and used his divine sense to explore the Book of the Pill Lord. In the blink of an eye, the Book of the Pill Lord recorded the introduction, planting, cultivation, and other information from the common spiritual herbs to the primordial spiritual herbs. It also recorded the corresponding formulas, refining methods, and precautions from the common elixir to the top elixir of immortality. After a short moment of adaptation, Yi Chen looked directly at Zhao Yu and said with a smile, "You can start now." After saying this, Yi Chen stretched out his left index finger and gently tapped Zhao Yu's forehead. At this moment, a ball of golden light suddenly appeared on the tip of Yi Chen's index finger. The moment Yi Chen's index finger touched Zhao Yu's forehead, the golden ball of light flashed and entered. After receiving the golden ball of light, Zhao Yu fainted for a moment, but quickly regained consciousness. Yi Chen saw this and heaved a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, I have sealed most of the information in the Book of the Pill Lord. Otherwise, it would be bad." Thinking of this, Yi Chen waved his right hand and the Book of the Pill Lord flew out of the hall and into the hands of Huatua, who was standing on the street outside the Castellan mansion with a confused look on his face. Just now, Yi Chen was not on the street, but his voice could be heard. Then, the book of the Pill Lord in Hua Tuo's arms flew away on its own. At that moment, Hua Tuo was shocked. If not for the fact that Hua Tuo heard Yi Chen's voice, he would have shouted immediately. Now that the book of the Pill Lord was back, Hua Tuo's initial worry disappeared. However, he could not avoid being confused. It could not be helped. The way the book of the Pill Lord flew away was too bizarre. Hua Tuo had never seen such a scene. Even if he heard Yi Chen's voice, he could not control the shock and worry in his heart. After all, Yi Chen was not on the street. Most importantly, Hua Tuo knew very well what was recorded in the book of the Pill Lord. If the book of the Pill Lord was really lost in his hands, Hua Tuo would not be able to face Yi Chen even if he died 10,000 times. Of course, this was the thought that came to Hua Tuo when the book of the Pill Lord flew away. After regaining his senses, Hua Tuo let out a long sigh and then bowed solemnly in the direction of the Castellan mansion. At this moment, Hua Tuo understood one thing. His master, Yi Chen, was not a mortal at all. Otherwise, how could he have such divine means? Reincarnation, Immortal City, Castellan Mansion Hall. Zhao Yu, who was temporarily dizzy from receiving the information from the Book of the Pill Lord, quickly came back to her senses and quickly checked the information. After a few breaths, Zhao Yu's eyes lit up. Then, she looked at Yi Chen with joy and said, "Husband, I can try to make the spirit-gathering pill now." The spirit-gathering pill was the most basic pill among Pill Dao spirit pills. It could be used to accelerate the cultivation speed of mortal evolution state cultivators. In Reincarnation Immortal City, the people who needed it the most were naturally those who had followed Yi Chen to the secret realm of the underground palace and obtained the identity of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. Zhao Yun, Guan Er, Zhang San, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, Zhang Liao, and all the soldiers of the Samsara Legion and the White Horse Legion. Because they had the identity of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, they did not have to worry about being suppressed by the heavenly Tao of the Three Kingdoms. They could increase their strength as much as they wanted. Moreover, after increasing their strength, they could use 100% of their strength. It was for this reason that if the spirit-gathering pill appeared, it would be of great help to Reincarnation Immortal City. This was also the reason why Zhao Yu said this. After all, Yi Chen wanted to walk the path of the Emperor. It was not enough for him to be strong alone. His generals and soldiers had to be strong as well. Only in this way could they help Yi Chen conquer the world, conquer the untainted land, and conquer everything. Chapter 793. It could be said that in order to help Yi Chen, Zhao Yu had done everything she could. Otherwise, Zhao Yu wouldn't have directly told Yi Chen that she wanted to concoct the essence-gathering pill after receiving the information from the Medicine King Encyclopedia. After hearing Zhao Yu's words, Yi Chen sighed inwardly. Then, he looked at Zhao Yu and said, "Madam, you've already reached the mortal evolution state. Naturally, you can concoct the essence-gathering pill. As for the spirit herbs needed to concoct the essence-gathering pill, little Yu has already collected quite a lot. If you want to concoct the pill, you can send people to my world at any time to bring the spirit herbs you need." "Yes, husband." Zhao Yu's eyes lit up when she heard this. Then, she said happily. Seeing this, Yi Chen couldn't help but stroke Zhao Yu's beautiful hair. Then, he sighed and said, "Madam, don't forget to cultivate. Madam, remember, don't neglect your cultivation. Now you, Chanwan, Kai Mei, and the others all have the 5-colored divine light protecting you. This world can no longer stop you from increasing your strength." Hearing this, Zhao Yu's heart couldn't help but feel warm. Then, she looked at Yi Chen and said sweetly, "Husband, I know." Hearing this, Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. Then, he said, "I've ordered Zizhong to create a shop and a shop. I've already ordered Zizhong to build a divine blacksmith shop and a divine medicinal shop. If Madam wishes to concoct pills, there would be no harm in going to a divine medicinal shop. Concocting pills there would be twice the result with half the effort. Okay, husband. Zhao Yu's eyes lit up when she heard this. Then, she said with incomparable excitement. After hearing Zhao Yu's excited words, Yi Chen helplessly shook his head. Then, he looked at Chanwan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and the 5 beautiful Jin sisters and said apologetically, after I unify the world, I'll give you all a grand wedding. In one more day, Yi Chen would marry the Sunshine Princess, De Qiao, and Changle Princess, Xiao Qiao. To the other girls, this was somewhat unfair. After all, they were the ones who followed Yi Chen first, not De Qiao and Xiao Qiao. However, there was nothing Yi Chen could do about this matter. After all, Yi Chen wanted all the heaven and earth providence in the novice region of the 3 kingdoms. Therefore, the current Yi Chen could not raise the flag of rebellion. In that case, Yi Chen would have to marry De Qiao and Xiao Qiao, and he could only marry the 2 of them. Otherwise, Yi Chen would anger Lu Hong. Then, the suspicion Yi Chen had towards Yi Chen that Lu Hong had dispelled with great difficulty would erupt again. In that case, Yi Chen would either be labeled as a traitor or be stripped of his title. Regardless of the outcome, it would affect Yi Chen's plan to seize all the heaven and earth providence in the novice region of the 3 kingdoms. Yi Chen did not wish to see such an outcome. It was precisely because of this that Yi Chen made such a promise to the girls. Zhao Yu, Chanwan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and Jin Jiesa, who were in Yi Chen's embrace, sweetly smiled and said in unison, "Husband, don't worry about us. Husband, there's no need to worry about my sisters. We understand your heart." Hearing this, Yi Chen's heart couldn't help but feel warm. He then hugged the girls one by one and said, "Then, I will go to Luoyang. In that case, I'll go to Luoyang first. In 3 days, I'll take you overseas to relax." "Yes, husband." When Zhao Yu, Chanwan, Kai Mei Mi Zhen, Huang Wan and Jin Jiesa heard this, they all smiled and said. When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded. Then, with a thought, the space in front of him instantly distorted. After glancing at the girls in the hall, Yi Chen took a deep breath. After letting out a long breath, he directly stepped into the distorted space and disappeared. Luoyang, happy arrival in Sky Room. Space suddenly distorted. In the next second, Yi Chen, who had been gone for half a day, suddenly stepped out of the distorted space and appeared here. As soon as Yi Chen appeared, a clamorous discussion instantly reached Yi Chen's ears. After listening for a while, Yi Chen couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It turned out that the corpses of the 3 Nangong brothers had been discovered when Yi Chen was investigating Liang Fulong's whereabouts. He quickly locked onto the 3 Nangong brothers, who were drinking and eating in room A of the Happy Arrival Inn. After asking for the information he wanted, Yi Chen directly killed the 3 of them and then returned to the real world to pursue Liang Fulong. Originally, Yi Chen was a little puzzled. The Fiend Race's invasion and the Golden Scarf Rebellion had just ended, so why would someone dare to commit a crime again? Who would have thought that this was all his doing? I wonder if the constables of this world will be able to trace it back to me. When he thought of this, the corners of Yi Chen's mouth couldn't help but curl up. Then, with a thought, he moved. Just as Yi Chen was about to release Lu Xie from the ancient contract book, an oppressive roar suddenly sounded from outside the inn. "Innkeeper, this Huang hasn't given you enough money to stay in the inn. You haven't. I just don't want to do business with you." The voice of the inn's owner, Big Fatty Wang, rang out. "You." An angry roar sounded out again. That voice was filled with suppression, as well as killing intent that was forcibly suppressed. "What about you? This is an inn, not a memorial hall. Also, this lord wants to tell you something. Yu of Beech is currently staying in this pleasant inn. If your son were to die of illness in this lord's inn and offend Yu of Beech, your entire family wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. You clearly don't understand." Big Fatty Wang's arrogant voice rang out again. "Nonsense. Even if Yu of Beech were to stay here, he wouldn't make things difficult for my father or my brother. An angry female voice rang out at this moment. Woody! Shut up! The man surnamed Huang's reprimand immediately followed. In the sky room, Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard this. Philos aureus, could it be? Just as Yi Chen thought of this, the inn's owner, Big Fatty Wang, suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise. Then he heard Big Fatty Wang excitedly shout, "If you want to stay in the inn, that's fine. As long as your daughter marries me and becomes my concubine, you can stay for as long as you want. Bastard! How dare you bully me?" An earth-shattering roar sounded out from the man surnamed Huang's mouth. At the same time, a violent killing intent rose up. As if frightened, the inn's owner, Big Fatty Wang, stumbled back a few steps and then screamed at the enraged man surnamed Huang. "Country bumpkin, you dare to commit murder? Why don't you take a look at where you are? No, you're a rebel, a golden scarf rebel. Men, there's a rebel here, quickly capture him. Capture him." Hearing this, Yi Chen's face instantly darkened. He immediately flew into the air, and flew out of the window in the blink of an eye, appearing outside the inn. As soon as Yi Chen appeared, the onlookers on the street immediately noticed Yi Chen. After being stunned for a moment, frenzied shouts could be heard. "You of Beach! It's you of Beach!" Chapter 794. The people of the Great Han knew everything about Yi Chen. It could be said that everyone knew that Yi Chen was the savior of the Great Han, unparalleled in this era. And now, Yi Chen had flown out of the inn. This sort of immortal ability had further stimulated the people on the street. In truth, the people couldn't be blamed for this. After all, in the minds of the people, only immortals could fly. And the Great Han Empire's great general of swift cavalry, the governor of Yuzhou, Yi Chen, could fly. If this wasn't an immortal, then it would be strange. And it was precisely because of this viewpoint in the minds of the people, and the fact that Yi Chen had saved all the people of the Great Han Empire, that the people on the streets of Luoyang immediately became fanatical when they saw Yi Chen. The frenzied and noisy cries of the people came one after another, wave after wave. Soon, it became a chorus of frenzied cries. "We pay our respects to you, Lord Beach." Tens of thousands of people loudly shouted, shaking the streets of Luoyang and reverberating endlessly. When Yi Chen saw this, he raised his right hand, indicating for the people to quiet down. The people who saw Yi Chen's action immediately fell silent and quietly waited for Yi Chen to speak. After the people quieted down, Yi Chen looked directly at the middle-aged man surnamed Huang. The moment Yi Chen saw him, his eyes went wide. It really was him, Huang Xing, Huang Hansheng. This was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it without any effort. Huang Xing was a top-tier historical general. Yi Chen had long wanted to subdue Huang Xing, but unfortunately, he had never had the chance. This was because Yi Chen had never even met Huang Xing, so how could he subdue him? And now Yi Chen had met Huang Xing, so how could Yi Chen not be happy from the bottom of his heart? It had to be known that an army of 1,000 was easy to obtain, but a general was hard to find. This principle was universal no matter what era one was placed in. Even in the great desolate world, it was the same. It was precisely for this reason that Yi Chen was crazily recruiting historical generals and historical civil officials, regardless of whether they were top tier, second tier, third tier, or even unranked. It could be said that as long as Yi Chen encountered a historical general, he would do everything in his power to subdue them. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't have so many subordinates. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Yi Chen had seen another top-tier historical general, and it was the middle-aged Huang Xing, Huang Hansheng. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. Yi Chen had just thought of this when Huang Xing, who had learned of Yi Chen's identity due to the frenzied cheers of the commoners, immediately recovered from his shock. He hurriedly pulled aside Philos Aureus, who was watching Yi Chen curiously, and solemnly bowed to Yi Chen. "This commoner, Huang Xing, Huang Hansheng, pays respects to Lord Yu of Beach." Philosts Aureus hurriedly bowed after Huang Xing's words. This commoner, Philosts Aureus, pays respects to Lord Yu of Beach. Yi Chen smiled when he heard this. But before Yi Chen could speak, the gazes of the players, who had locked onto Yi Chen because of his appearance, instantly exploded. Holy sh*t. Did I hear wrong? This person said that he's Huang Xing? You didn't hear wrong. He said that he's Huang Xing. Holy sh*t. Are you kidding me? Didn't Yi Chen just recruit Hua Tuo and Lu Xie? Why did he encounter Huang Xing? It doesn't matter if he met Huang Xing. What's important is that Yi Chen is Yu of Beach. Holy sh*t. If Yi Chen shows that he wants to recruit Huang Xing, doesn't that mean that he'll be able to recruit Huang Xing? That's not all. Don't forget that there's a little Lolita beside Huang Xing. She's definitely Huang Xing's daughter. She's as pretty as a historical beauty. That's not the point. Don't forget that Huang Xing's son, Huang Su, isn't dead yet. If Yi Chen can cure Huang Su, he'll definitely be a valiant general. Holy sh*t, there's no justice in this world. I stayed in this inn before. Why didn't I realize that he's Huang Xing? If I knew that he was Huang Xing, I wouldn't have checked out no matter what. What's the use of regretting? Do you dare to go over now? Stop joking. If you dare to go over, I can guarantee that Yi Chen will kill you in a matter of minutes. The players all spoke one after another, and it was really lively. Huang Xing frowned as he listened, and then his eyes shone brightly. Philosts Aureus, who was beside Huang Xing, reacted the same way as Huang Xing. Her frown turned into joy. Then, she looked at Yi Chen expectantly. She wanted to say something, but no words came out of her mouth. When Yi Chen saw this, he couldn't help but smirk. It looked like the key to recruiting Huang Xing lay with Huang Su. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, a world announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! The mission to recruit the superclass historical general, Huang Xing, Huang Hanxing, has been officially activated. Any player who completes Huang Xing's wish will be able to obtain Huang Xing's loyalty. The world announcement repeated 3 times, causing an uproar in the world channel. Holy sh*t. Where's Huang Xing? Buying Huang Xing's coordinates at a high price. Holy sh*t. Buying Huang Xing's information at a high price. As long as it's accurate, name your price. High price, your sister. Let me tell you, Huang Xing is in Luoyang. However, it's useless even if you come because Yi Chen is here. Holy sh*t, are you kidding me? Why is it that wherever there's good stuff, there's Yi Chen? So what if it's Yi Chen? Holy sh*t, recruiting Huang Xing is on the world announcement. Is Yi Chen planning to start a massacre in Luoyang? Idiot, have you forgotten Yi Chen's current status? Do you think Yi Chen won't dare to make a move and start a massacre? Is there still justice? Is there still law? How can a person be so overbearing? The world channel was abuzz with activity as it was flooded with messages. Yi Chen glanced at it and curled his lips in disdain. When the players heard about the mission to recruit Huang Xing, they were all extremely excited. This was because Huang Xing was a superclass historical general. After recruiting him, no matter which lord player it was, they would obtain great benefits. It was also because of this that the players acted immediately upon hearing the news. They were even willing to spend a lot of money to buy all information related to Huang Xing. Later on, someone said that Yi Chen is in Luoyang. The players were dissatisfied and angry because of Yi Chen's presence. It was basically impossible for them to complete the mission to recruit Huang Xing. As for these players, Yi Chen, who was already in the tribulation stage, naturally didn't take them to heart. To be precise, it didn't matter what the players said. As long as they didn't come, everything would be fine. If they came, Yi Chen would really start a massacre. After all, Huang Xing was a superclass historical general that Yi Chen had planned to recruit. How could he allow the players to cause trouble? Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at Huang Xing and asked, "What's the matter? Is your son in that carriage?" Chapter 795. After hearing Yi Chen's words, Huang Xing, who was struggling to find the right words to say, suddenly had his eyes glittering. Without hesitation, he quickly bowed toward Yi Chen and said, "You Lord Beech, my son is in the carriage. Zhong earnestly requests Lord Beech to treat my son. Regardless of the result, Zhong will always remember it in my heart. In the future, no matter what Lord Beech needs, Zhong will do my best. Even if I have to tread on fire, Zhong will not hesitate." Huang Wudi, who was beside Huang Xing, hurriedly looked at Yi Chen and asked with a hopeful expression, "Lord Ghost King, you are an immortal. There is nothing you can't do. You will definitely be able to save my brother, right?" Huang Xing, who had just finished pleading with Yi Chen, suddenly paled. He hastily turned to Yi Chen and respectfully bowed. Lord Beech, my daughter is young and speaks without thinking. Zhong, please accept my apology for treating my daughter here." Both Huang Xing and his daughter, Philos Aureus, were filled with hope after Yi Chen spoke. To be more precise, they hoped that Huang Su could be cured. This was because the person who had asked Huang Xing this question was none other than the great Han Empire's great cavalry general, the governor of Yuzhou, Yi Chen. In the eyes of Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, if even Yi Chen couldn't save Huang Su, then no one in the world could. As for the reason, it was very simple. Yi Chen had just displayed an immortal ability to fly. It was precisely because of this that both Huang Xing and Philos Aureus were filled with hope and desire. They both wanted an affirmative response, but Huang Xing didn't dare to ask. This was because he was a commoner, while Yi Chen was the great Han Empire's Yu of Beech. The difference in status was as great as the heavens. As for Philos Aureus, because her expectation was too high, and because of her age, she subconsciously ignored Yi Chen's status and directly asked Yi Chen the result. This kind of behavior was already considered disrespectful. If Yi Chen pursued the matter, Philos Aureus would definitely be punished. It couldn't be helped. This was the Three Kingdoms. The difference in status couldn't be made up by gender or age. To be more precise, if Yi Chen was angered by Philos Aureus's words, then there would only be one result. Huang Su wouldn't be able to receive treatment, and Philos Aureus and Huang Xing would both be arrested and punished. Even if Yi Chen didn't make a move, someone would make a move for Yi Chen. It must be known that Yi Chen was the one and only prince of the great Han Empire, Yu of Beech. Moreover, Yi Chen would be marrying Princess De Qiao and Princess Changel Xiao Qiao tomorrow, directly becoming the emperor's son-in-law. It could be said that Yi Chen's status was extremely noble. There were countless people who wanted to curry favor with Yi Chen. And this was also the reason why Huang Xing's expression greatly changed after Philos Aureus asked Yi Chen, and he hurriedly apologized to Yi Chen. Hearing this, Yi Chen glanced at Huang Xing, then looked at Philos Aureus and said, "There shouldn't be any problems." Yi Chen was a transcending tribulation expert. If he wanted to treat a mortal's illness, it was simply too easy. Even if Huang Su's illness was something that even celestial immortals were helpless against, Yi Chen still had a way to resolve it. As for the reason, it was very simple. Yi Chen still had quite a few yang recovery pills on him. Even if Yi Chen couldn't cure Huang Su, he could still use the yang recovery pills to bring Huang Su back to life. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the manager of the Pleasant Arrival Inn, Big Fatty Wang, suddenly bowed to Yi Chen and loudly said, "You of Beech, this Huang Xing and Philos Aureus are both Golden Scarf rebels. You must not be deceived by them." Hearing this, Yi Chen's eyes narrowed. At this moment, Huang Xing's expression suddenly sank. As for Philos Aureus, she angrily rebuked Big Fatty Wang. "You're speaking nonsense. Our Huang clan has a clean record. How could we be Golden Scarf rebels?" You of Beech, Lord Beech, you can swear an oath to the heavens that you are loyal to your family, not a rebel. You of Beech, Lord Beech, please judge clearly." When Huang Xing heard this, he glared fiercely at Wang Dede, then turned to Yi Chen and bowed solemnly. "You're lying. You're a rebel. I dare take." Big Fatty Wang raised his right hand and pointed at Huang Xing. With a serious expression, he roared. But before he could finish speaking, he suddenly stopped. The Godslayer in Yi Chen's right hand had suddenly appeared and was pressed against Big Fatty Wang's neck. You of Beech, Big Fatty Wang's face was deathly pale as he looked at the Godslayer pressed against his neck. Then he looked at Yi Chen and stammered, "You, Lord Beech." When Yi Chen heard this, he coldly smiled and asked, "What happened? What happened? Do you think this king didn't hear?" Hearing Yi Chen's words, the innkeeper, Big Fatty Wang, shuddered. In that instant, a deep fear involuntarily appeared in Big Fatty Wang's heart. On the other hand, Huang Xing and Philos Aureus both stared blankly for a moment before revealing expressions of relief. Yi Chen coldly looked at Big Fatty Wang and said, "Accusing someone of a false accusation is a crime. Falsely accusing others is the same as committing the same crime. You can die now." When Yi Chen finished speaking, he unhesitatingly stabbed the Godslayer in his right hand. With a poochie sound, the Godslayer effortlessly pierced through Big Fatty Wang's neck. When he saw this, Yi Chen disdainfully curled his lips. Then he pulled back his right hand, and the Godslayer was immediately withdrawn by Yi Chen. When Huang Xing saw this, he took a deep breath and exhaled deeply. Then, he turned to Yi Chen and bowed in an extremely solemn manner. "Thank you, Lord Yu of Beech, for clearing my name. Thank you, Lord Yu of Beech." When Huang Xing finished speaking, Philos Aureus looked at Yi Chen and happily bowed. When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, then chuckled and nodded. Happy arrival in shopkeeper, Big Fatty Wang, was just an insignificant native. Yi Chen had gone to great lengths to deal with him. In fact, other than dealing with himself and Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, he also wanted to gain the favor of Huang Xing and Huang Xing. In this way, it wouldn't be difficult for Yi Chen to obtain Huang Xing and Philos Aureus's complete loyalty. As for whether killing Big Fatty Wang would bring trouble to Yi Chen and Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, this seemed impossible at first glance. But in reality, it wasn't impossible. After all, Big Fatty Wang had shouted that Huang Xing and his family were Golden Scarf rebels. If Yi Chen didn't explain, and directly killed Big Fatty Wang, it would definitely give the commoners the impression that he was covering up for them. And once this news reached Lu Hong's ears, Yi Chen's originally dispelled suspicions would very likely resurface in Lu Hong's heart. It was precisely for this reason that Yi Chen deliberately explained, before killing Big Fatty Wang. Although the entire process was somewhat troublesome, the result was good. Yi Chen had indeed gained gratitude. And this wasn't hard to see from Huang Xing and Philos Aureus's expressions of indescribable gratitude and happiness. Not bad, not bad. Once Huang Su is cured, I will have 3 loyal subordinates. This was a good deal. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. Then, he walked towards the somewhat shabby carriage not far away. When Yi Chen arrived at the side of the shabby carriage, a hurried coughing sound could be heard. Cough, 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 cough. Hearing this, Yi Chen immediately frowned. No. There was something wrong with this Huang Su. At first glance, Huang Su's cough didn't sound abnormal, but the truth was completely different. To be more precise, not only was there something wrong with Huang Su, there was a big problem. The reason being that Yi Chen could sense a faint beastly aura from Huang Su's coughs. Chapter 796. With this thought, Yi Chen looked at the commoners on the street and shouted, "All of you leave. No one is allowed to come within 100 meters." Yi Chen's words stunned the commoners who had been waiting to see how Yi Chen would treat Huang Su. After coming to their senses, they began to disperse in confusion. Although the commoners wanted to continue watching, no one dared to disobey Yi Chen's orders. This was because of Yi Chen's status, his strength, and his status as an immortal. Huang Xing, who had been watching Yi Chen, couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. Philos Aureus, who had been stunned for a moment, turned pale. She looked at Yi Chen and anxiously asked, "Lord Yu of Beach, my brother." Yi Chen turned to look at Philos Aureus and then at Huang Xing. "Take Woody and maintain order. Don't let anyone come close." "Yes, Lord Yu of Beach." When Huang Xing heard this, he did his best to stabilize his heart, which was still beating intensely. After that, he bowed to Yi Chen in an extremely serious manner. Philos Aureus was about to speak when Huang Xing pulled her back. "Don't speak, lest you disturb Yu of Beach." Philos Aureus, who had been about to speak again, immediately shut her mouth. She looked worriedly at Yi Chen before nodding. Then she followed Huang Xing and walked to either side of Yi Chen. Huang Xing and Philos Aureus didn't know the reason for Yi Chen's order, but they were certain that Yi Chen wasn't doing this to harm Huang Su, nor was it for no reason. After Huang Xing and Philos Aureus were 100 meters away, Yi Chen looked at the shabby carriage. A second later, Yi Chen waved his right hand. Bang! There was a loud explosion. The shabby carriage exploded in an instant, and then it turned into sawdust that drifted with the wind. At this moment, Huang Su, who was wearing tattered robes, had a withered body, a dark complexion, and lifeless eyes, lying on the carriage, appeared before Yi Chen. Cough cough, cough cough. Violent coughing sounds came from Huang Su's mouth as he appeared. At this moment, large mouthfuls of dark red blood with some black color spurted out from Huang Su's mouth, and then Huang Su's clothes were dyed black and red. At the same time, a faint, almost undetectable demon qi appeared from Huang Su's body. When Huang Su saw Yi Chen, he wanted to stand up and greet him, but he couldn't move at all. Huang Su noticed this and hurriedly opened his mouth. Unfortunately, he couldn't even utter a single word. After several failed attempts, Huang Su revealed a bitter expression. Then he looked at Yi Chen with an apologetic look. When Yi Chen saw this, he immediately said, "There's no need to be so polite. There's no need to be so courteous. Just wait patiently." After saying this, Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and suddenly opened them wide. Eyes of fire and gold. Yi Chen had just obtained the eyes of fire and gold not long ago, and Yi Chen instantly used it without hesitation. At this moment, Yi Chen's eyes lit up with 2 balls of fire. Then 2 rays of golden light lit up from Yi Chen's blazing eyes and shot directly at Huang Su's battered body. When the golden light emitted by the eyes of fire and gold shone on Huang Su's body, a shadow hidden in Huang Su's heart was reflected in Yi Chen's eyes. Seeing this, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly opened wide. At this moment, the golden light in Yi Chen's eyes suddenly flourished. The shadow in Huang Su's heart, which was originally a little blurry, became clear as Yi Chen's eyes of fire and gold suddenly strengthened. In the next second, a skinny locust tree with blood-red bark appeared in Yi Chen's sight. Locust tree spirit. How could this be? This was the beginner's area of the 3 kingdoms. How could there be a locust tree spirit? An F***king appeared in Huang Su's heart. The beginner's area of the 3 kingdoms was the eastern region. It was an area exclusively for human players. It was impossible for demons to appear here. Of course, the appearance of demon players during the demon invasion was an exception. This was because it was part of the storyline and could not be avoided. However, at this moment the storyline of the demon invasion had already ended. Therefore, it was impossible for demon players to appear in the beginner's area of the 3 kingdoms. However, the problem was that what should have been impossible had become reality. How could Yi Chen not feel suspicious? Could it be the remaining demons from the demon invasion? Impossible. Even if it was during the demon invasion, the remaining demons would have directly ascended when they reached the fairy realm. It was impossible for them to remain in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms, from wild beasts to ferocious beasts, and then from ferocious beasts to demonic beasts. These were the realms of demon players during their beginner's period. If demon players wanted to ascend to the primordial world, they had to advance to the fairy realm. Only then could they successfully ascend. Otherwise, it would be impossible for them to ascend. It was also because of this reason that the demon players invaded the human territory after the demon invasion storyline began. They wanted to complete the breakthrough by devouring humans, become fairies, and then ascend to the primordial world. Unfortunately, the demon players' idea was very good, but it was directly destroyed by Yi Chen. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the demon players could not be like Yi Chen. They could ascend, but they remained in the beginner's area and refused to ascend. After all, there were no demon players like Yi Chen who took the Emperor Realm path. Otherwise, Yi Chen would have noticed the demon invasion long ago. It was also because the demon players did not take the Emperor Realm path that Yi Chen was so suspicious about the locust tree spirit appearing in Huang Su's heart. After all, the locust tree spirit in Huang Su's heart could not be a demon player, nor could it be a native of the beginner's area. If it was either of these, it would have ascended directly when it became a fairy. It would not have remained here until now. At this thought, a term involuntarily appeared in Yi Chen's mind. Native of the beginner's area of the three kingdoms. Damn. It must be so. Only the natives of the beginner's area of the three kingdoms would be unable to ascend to the primordial world even though they had reached a certain realm. For example, Zhuaci, Nanhua Immortal, Yuji. But how did the native locust tree spirit in the beginner's area of the three kingdoms evolve into a fairy? Could it be that during the demon invasion, it coincidentally absorbed the blood of a demon player and gained sentience? Then, due to some special opportunity, it possessed Huang Su's body and evolved into a fairy by sucking Huang Su's essence and blood. It must be so. At this thought, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly widened. Then, he looked directly at Huang Su's heart and shouted, "If you don't want your soul to be destroyed, come out right now. Or else." At this point, Yi Chen's Earth Immortal Aura, which he had gained from absorbing the Primordial Immortal Aura, suddenly erupted. At this moment, the sky changed color. Dark clouds rolled and thunder rumbled. Boom! At the same time, Yi Chen raised his right hand. A ball of violent lightning appeared in Yi Chen's right palm. At this moment, the crackling sound of electricity could be heard. In the distance, the people who were watching Yi Chen, as well as Huang Sheng and Philos Aureus, were all dumbfounded. At this moment, everyone had the same thought: Yi Chen was really an immortal. Moreover, he was a great immortal with vast divine power. It could not be helped. The means and power that Yi Chen had displayed were too shocking. They could not help but think this way. Chapter 797. Just as Huang Xing, Philos Aureus, and the commoners were shocked by Yi Chen's sudden display of power, the gamers among the commoners were in an uproar. Gosh! What's going on? Why did Yi Yu of Gojoseon release his aura and the sky is filled with dark clouds and thunder? Could it be that Yi Yu of Gojoseon has advanced again? Impossible. If Yi Yu of Gojoseon had advanced, there would definitely be a world announcement. Then what's going on? In the past, Yi Yu of Gojoseon was awesome, but that was because he used magic. He's using it now. Didn't you see that Yi Yu of Gojoseon's eyes are emitting flames and golden light? It must be magic. It doesn't matter what it is. What's important is that Yi Yu of Gojoseon's aura is completely different from before. Indeed. Previously, I felt that I couldn't compete with him, and felt that I was insignificant. Now, I suddenly feel that I've become an ant. I'm an ant among ants. Stop comparing. You should be thankful that Yi Yu of Gojoseon didn't release his aura on us. Otherwise, everyone would have died. Speaking of which, why did Yi Yu of Gojoseon say that? Could it be that there's a monster in his body? I think so. The gamers spoke one after another about the shock in their hearts. No one dared to mention Yi Chen's name because Yi Chen's aura had shocked them to their very souls. This shock was completely different from when Yi Chen had released his aura in Luoyang. The gamers didn't know why this happened, but it didn't stop them from feeling fear from the depths of their souls. It was also because of this fear that the gamers, who had been agitated by the Huang Xing subduing mission, completely calmed down at this moment. No one wanted to die. No one was willing to die, especially when they realized that Yi Chen had suddenly become stronger. Just as the gamers were discussing, Huang Su's originally calm heart suddenly thumped violently. Yi Chen had released the aura of an earth immortal, and it was specifically targeted at the locust tree spirit in Huang Su's heart. The locust tree spirit naturally couldn't withstand Yi Chen's vast and powerful earth immortal aura. This way, even if the locust tree spirit had extraordinary abilities, it couldn't continue hiding it. Of course, if not for the fact that Yi Chen didn't want to hurt Huang Su and deliberately controlled most of the aura, the locust tree spirit hiding in Huang Su's heart would have been directly shocked to death by Yi Chen's earth immortal aura. Yi Chen didn't want to do this because if the locust tree spirit in Huang Su's heart was really shocked to death by Yi Chen's earth immortal aura, then even if Yi Chen had the Yang restoration pill, he wouldn't be able to save Huang Su. After all, if the locust tree spirit was directly shocked to death, there would only be one outcome. The locust tree spirit would directly reveal its true form in Huang Su's body and then burst Huang Su's body into countless pieces. And of course, this wasn't the outcome that Yi Chen wanted to see. Otherwise, Yi Chen would have directly shocked the locust tree spirit to death and wouldn't have had to go through so much trouble. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong, Huang Su's heart was still wildly beating, but the locust tree spirit didn't listen to Yi Chen's order to leave Huang Su's heart. Yi Chen's expression darkened, and then he turned to the pale-faced Huang Su and said, "There is a locust tree spirit in your heart. There is a ghostwood tree spirit in your heart. This king is unable to extract it without harming your life. However, you can rest assured that after you die, I will take away your soul. When the time is right, I will let you enter the cycle of reincarnation or reconstruct your body. Are you willing?" If the locust tree spirit didn't leave Huang Su's body, Yi Chen wouldn't be able to kill it without harming Huang Su. In this way, no matter how many tricks Yi Chen had, he wouldn't be able to use them. This was not the outcome that Yi Chen wanted to see, and it was for this reason that Yi Chen had asked Huang Su this question. To be more precise, Yi Chen didn't want to waste any more time with the locust tree spirit. Of course, Yi Chen's words to Huang Su were also a threat to the locust tree spirit in Huang Su's heart. After all, once Huang Su agreed, Yi Chen would definitely attack. This way, no matter how powerful the locust tree spirit was, it wouldn't be able to survive Yi Chen's attack. The moment Yi Chen said this, the pale-faced Huang Su froze for a moment, and then he revealed a look of indescribable gratitude and forcefully nodded. Although Huang Su's movements were very small, they were enough to express his intentions. 100 meters away, Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, who had revealed expressions of sorrow at the first half of Yi Chen's words, instantly froze and their eyes widened. At this moment, whether it was Huang Xing or Philos Aureus, without exception, their expressions became extremely strange. In truth, they couldn't be blamed for this. After all, when Huang Xing and Philos Aureus heard the first half of Yi Chen's words, they had believed that Huang Su was dead for sure. As Huang Su's relatives, they naturally couldn't maintain their calm. But who could have imagined that the second half of Yi Chen's words would directly negate Huang Su's certain death? Although Huang Su would still die, Huang Su would obtain a new life because of Yi Chen. And to Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, this was naturally an enormous pleasant surprise. With such mixed feelings of sorrow and joy, it would be strange if Huang Xing and Philos Aureus's expressions weren't strange. After coming back to his senses, Huang Xing's sorrow vanished. He looked directly at Yi Chen and solemnly bowed. Lord Yu of Beach, please feel free to do as you wish. I Zhong, thank you here. No matter what the result is, Zhong is willing to become Lord Yu of Beach's servant. Wu Dai is also willing to become Lord Yu of Beach's servant. Philostes Aureus quickly followed after Huang Xing's words. Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus didn't understand the abilities of immortals, so they weren't sure either. But from what Yi Chen had said to Huang Su, they could roughly guess what was going on. To be more precise, Huang Su would die, but Huang Su would obtain a new life because of Yi Chen. And to the commoners like Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus, this was no different from an enormous gift. How could they not be moved and grateful? It was precisely because of this that Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus had directly sworn an oath to Yi Chen that they were willing to become Yi Chen's servants. The moment Philostes Aureus spoke, the system's notification rang out. Ding! Super First-Rate Historical General Huang Xing, Huang Hanxing, and First-Rate Historical General Philostes Aureus wish to become your servant. Do you accept? Yi Chen was stunned by the system's notification. After coming to his senses, Yi Chen didn't even think about it and directly refused. What kind of joke was this? Although a servant looked better than a subordinate, what Yi Chen wanted was a loyal subordinate, not a servant. If Yi Chen really agreed to take Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus as his servants, then Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus would do everything for Yi Chen. Moreover, no matter what Yi Chen asked them to do, they would obey. But the problem was that this would directly cut Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus's future in half. This was because the future achievements of those who were taken as servants would not only be much lower than the master of the house, but they would also not be able to become immortals. This was a hidden rule. Yi Chen, who had been reborn, knew this very well. It was also because of this reason that Yi Chen refused without hesitation. After all, Yi Chen needed subordinates who could conquer the world for Yi Chen, not servants whose future achievements would be greatly limited. Chapter 798. With this thought, Yi Chen turned to Huang Xing and earnestly said, "This Han Xing has heard of this name before. Unfortunately, I never had the chance to meet you. Meeting you today is truly one of the greatest regrets of my life. Han Xing, don't mention the matter of being a servant again. Even if this king were to take you in, it would only be as a subordinate general, not a servant." Yi Chen's words left Huang Xing and Philostes Aureus dumbfounded. They had never imagined that the great immortal Yi Chen, Yu of Beach's esteemed great general of swift cavalry, who ruled over Yuzhou, would value Huang Xing so highly. After coming back to his senses, Huang Xing was overcome with excitement and gratitude. On the other side of the street, Philostes Aureus was the same. A second later, Huang Xing looked at Yi Chen and then excitedly bowed to Yi Chen. Loyalty. What virtue or merit? Huang Xing was interrupted by Yi Chen as soon as he said this. Han Xing, there is no need to say so much. Once this king has taken care of the ghostwood tree spirit in your son's body, I will drink with Han Xing. When Huang Xing heard this, a strong sense of gratitude rose in his heart once again. After trying his best to stabilize his unsteady heart, Huang Xing nodded heavily and bowed to Yi Chen once again. Many thanks, Lord Yu of Beach. Yi Chen chuckled and nodded, then turned to Huang Su and asked, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" When Huang Su heard this, his eyes immediately revealed a look of certainty and incomparable determination. At this moment, Huang Su could no longer move. He could only communicate with Yi Chen through his eyes. Even though this kind of communication was extremely limited, Yi Chen was still able to understand Huang Su's intentions with one glance. "You're a good man." After confirming Huang Su's intentions, Yi Chen chuckled and looked at Huang Su's heart. Dong 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 dong, Huang Su's heart was still beating wildly. After Yi Chen took a glance at him, he narrowed his eyes and shouted coldly, "Evil creature, you're so stubborn. Today I'll destroy your soul." After Yi Chen finished speaking, the lightning ball in his right palm instantly shot towards Huang Su's heart. Just as the thunder palm in Yi Chen's right hand was about to make contact with Huang Su's heart, a sharp cry for mercy was heard. "Lord Yu of Beach! Spare me, spare me! I'll come out immediately." When Yi Chen heard this, his right hand, which was about to hit Huang Su's heart, instantly stopped. At this moment, the citizens on the street who heard the sharp sound from Huang Su's heart couldn't help but shiver. Then, they saw the citizens widen their eyes. There really is a monster. Lord Yu of Beach is a great immortal, an omnipotent great immortal. Since he says there is a monster, there must be a monster. Fortunately, Lord Yu of Beach is in Luoyang. Otherwise, if this monster escaped from that kid's body, wouldn't we all be in for a calamity? The citizens began to discuss the sudden appearance of the ghostwood tree spirit. Meanwhile, Huang Xing and Philos Aureus, who were standing in front of the crowd, were both furious. Of course, their anger was not directed at Yi Chen, but at the ghostwood tree spirit that had just spoken. After all, Huang Su's sudden torment was all because of this ghostwood tree spirit. As Huang Su's family, Huang Xing and Philos Aureus could not remain calm. Yi Chen ignored the comments of the citizens. After he stopped attacking, he immediately released his consciousness and completely locked down the space within a 10-meter radius. In the next second, a translucent barrier of light instantly appeared. Then, it firmly enveloped an area of 10 meters around Yi Chen. The ghostwood tree spirit was a tree spirit that possessed the strength of a monster. This kind of existence not only had the ability to burrow through the ground, but also possessed the ability to possess people. Yi Chen did not want the ghostwood tree spirit to escape after leaving Huang Su's body or allow it to possess the citizens. The moment the translucent light barrier appeared, the eyes of the emaciated Huang Su suddenly bulged out. Then, he saw something bulge out from his heart. In the next second, the bulging flesh from Huang Su's heart started to move up along his neck. After a few breaths, Huang Su opened his mouth and a miniature locust tree flew out of his mouth. Yi Chen's eyes widened when he saw this. Without a second thought, he reached out with his left hand and grabbed the miniature ghostwood tree spirit. "You Lord Beach, I have something to say. Don't kill me." The ghostwood tree spirit, which had just left Huang Su's body, cried out frantically when Yi Chen grabbed it. When Yi Chen heard this, he sneered and said, "That's right. You still want to bargain? Die, evil creature. The green lotus flag. This little demon is willing to use the green lotus flag in exchange for a chance to live." The ghostwood tree spirit shrieked as soon as Yi Chen finished speaking. Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard this. The green lotus flag. The ghostwood tree spirit had the green lotus flag? The green lotus flag was one of the Khanate 5-element flags. It was a Khanate treasure with the ability to calm one's heart and chi. It was invulnerable to all spells and could break through all evils. At first glance, its function did not seem very powerful, but in fact, it was the complete opposite. The function of the green lotus flag was very powerful. Even if a quasi-saint obtained it, he would not hesitate to use it for cultivation or even use it to fight against enemies. Otherwise, the guide wouldn't have been able to do so well in the Eldritch world. To be more precise, the guide was the first owner of the green lotus flag. Of course, this was historical records. But now, there seemed to be some deviation. The green lotus flag didn't appear in the Eldritch world, but in the beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms. Damn it, if the ghostwood tree spirit wasn't lying, then the green lotus flag, like the heavenly book, had appeared in the mortal world at first. After being found, it had been brought to the Eldritch world and then into the hands of its true owner. Yi Chen couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. After all, the heavenly book that Yi Chen had obtained not long ago appeared in the real world. If Yi Chen hadn't been involved, the golden python would probably have ascended to the Eldritch world with the heavenly book. Then it would have been hunted down by the primeval Lord of Heaven, and the heavenly book would have ended up in his possession. This wasn't Yi Chen's guess, but Yi Chen's judgment. Even if there were some differences, the result would be the same. Because in Yi Chen's previous life, the one who had controlled the heavenly book was indeed the primeval Lord of Heaven. Thinking of this, Yi Chen suddenly came back to his senses. He looked at the ghostwood tree spirit in his right hand and shouted, "Tell me the location of the green lotus flag, and I'll let your soul go and give you a chance to reincarnate." The ghostwood tree spirit was an indigenous ghostwood tree in the beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms. By chance, it had advanced to the fairy realm, but because of the restrictions of the heavenly Tao in the beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms, it couldn't ascend. Yi Chen had already deduced this. But the ghostwood tree spirit knew about the green lotus flag, which was not within the scope of Yi Chen's deduction. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Yi Chen naturally wouldn't let go of this information so easily. Chapter 799. Yi Chen's words caused the ghostwood tree spirit in Yi Chen's hand to tremble and then hastily shout, "Lord Yu of Beach, this little monster is a plant spirit that has never harmed a human. I had no choice but to hide in this person's body. I ask that Lord Yu of Beach show mercy and spare this little monster's life." A plant spirit? You had no choice? Yi Chen sneered when he heard this. Then, he said in a deep voice, "That's right. Even if you really had no choice, when you sucked Huang Su's essence blood and made him wish he was dead, your future was sealed. Only death awaited you. There was no other path." The monster race was divided into 4 major races: beast, bird, water, and plant. Of the 4 major races, although plant-type monsters attacked and devoured humans, there were also many plants that had gained sentience. They were peaceful by nature and would not participate in battle. This had to do with the fact that they were plants and their nature. After all, before plants gained sentience, all they needed to do was absorb water, nutrients, and sunlight to grow. After gaining sentience, their way of life would change slightly, but in terms of their needs, they would only need worldly energy and the essence of the sun and moon. Of course, this was only true for most plants after they had gained sentience. There were also some plants, such as man-eating trees, man-eating flowers, and other carnivorous plants. After gaining sentience, as long as they encountered humans, there was a 100% chance that they would attack and eat the humans without hesitation. Besides this, there were also some plants that, for various reasons, changed their habits and specialized in eating humans. But this was not important. What was important was that, after plants gained sentience, even if they were peaceful by nature and did not participate in battle, they would still change their habits after consuming human essence blood and become man-eating existences. It was for this reason that Yi Chen didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy or pity when he heard the scholar tree spirit's words. The moment Yi Chen spoke, the ghostwood tree spirit in Yi Chen's hand trembled once more. At this moment, a strong sense of unwillingness erupted from the locust tree spirit's body and spread out. Yi Chen disdainfully curled his lips when he sensed this. Then he looked at the ghostwood tree spirit and shouted, "What are you waiting for? Tell me the location of the green lotus flag and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll destroy your soul and make you disappear completely." The locust tree spirit was a demon. Although it had the strength of a demon and knew about the green lotus flag, it did not refine it. Otherwise, the instant the tree spirit left Yi Chen's body, the green lotus flag would automatically protect its master and block Yi Chen's attack. After all, the green lotus flag was a connate cardinal treasure with the innate ability to automatically protect its owner. It was also because of this that Yi Chen directly asked the locust tree spirit to reveal the location of the green lotus flag instead of forcing it to hand it over. When the locust tree spirit heard this, a weathered face appeared on its faceless body. It had features, but it was filled with anger. In the next second, the locust tree spirit's newly revealed eyes looked directly at Yi Chen and roared savagely. Why won't you give me a chance? I didn't kill anyone. I'm just restricted by the damned heavenly Tao and can't ascend. I'm even sealed by the heavenly Tao, so I have no choice but to borrow the body of a human and struggle at death's door, biding my time. There is no why. If you really want to know, I can tell you. You are a member of the demonic clan. Moreover, you are a member of the demonic clan who has consumed the essence blood of humans. The reason is that simple. Yi Chen's eyes narrowed when he heard this before he shouted in a deep voice. When the locust tree spirit heard this, it fell silent. A moment later, it looked at Yi Chen and said with a vicious expression, "What's wrong with my unwillingness? So what if I'm a demon? What does the grudges between humans and demons have to do with me? I just want to live on. Moreover, I've never killed anyone, not even a single person. You're determined to kill me just because you've consumed some essence blood, and you even want to force me to tell you the location of the Azure Lotus flag. Human, you're very treacherous, despicable, and shameless." Yi Chen's eyes widened when he heard this. Violent killing intent surged up into the sky. In that instant, the sky changed color and a fierce wind blew. The temperature of Luoyang instantly dropped to freezing point. Then, snowflakes fell from the sky and were swept up by the fierce wind. The onlookers on the streets were all stunned when they saw this. After a brief moment of silence, a deafening roar rang out. "Kill it! Kill it!" Tens of thousands of people roared as they gathered in one place and soared into the sky. The locust tree spirit's words seemed reasonable, and it sounded like the locust tree spirit was the victim. However, the people did not think so. As for the reason, it was very simple. The locust tree spirit was a demon. The logic was that simple. The people did not understand that plants could turn into demons. To them, demons were demons. If they encountered one, they had to be killed without leaving a single one behind. It was also for this reason that the people began to shout in unison after Yi Chen's rage. "Kill the locust tree spirit." Yi Chen was enraged because the locust tree spirit still wanted to sow discord even when its death was imminent. To be precise, the locust tree spirit wanted to make Yi Chen the villain in the hearts of the people. It wanted the people to think that Yi Chen was a despicable and shameless villain. Of course, the locust tree spirit hoped that Yi Chen would give up on killing it and interrogating it because of this. In fact, this was the only thing the locust tree spirit could do. After all, the locust tree spirit could not resist Yi Chen, nor could it take revenge on Yi Chen. As for Yi Chen's actions, he was trying to force the locust tree spirit and even wanted to kill it. This was the truth. The locust tree spirit wasn't lying. But even if this was the truth, so what? After all, Yi Chen was a human, while the locust tree spirit was a demon. Furthermore, it was a demon that had devoured human blood essence. There was no possibility of it turning over a new leaf, so it was reasonable for Yi Chen to kill it. Moreover, even if the locust tree spirit could turn over a new leaf, so what? All the worlds followed the law of the jungle. Was Yi Chen going to be a benevolent person just because of a few words from the locust tree spirit and not kill it? What kind of joke was this? If Yi Chen wanted to be such a person, he would not have killed millions of people who were enemies of Yi Chen. To be more precise, Yi Chen dared to kill even the enemies of the human race, much less the crooked demon tribe. Moreover, this involved Huang Xing's subjugation mission and the Khanate's supreme treasure, the green lotus flag. Whether the locust tree spirit was in the right or not, Yi Chen would not let it go. Moreover, Yi Chen's path to the imperial throne, Yi Chen's plan, and Yi Chen's nature would not allow Yi Chen to do something as foolish as letting the locust tree spirit go. Sensing Yi Chen's berserk killing intent, the locust tree spirit revealed an expression of success when it heard the cries of the citizens. In that instant, the locust tree spirit's expression froze. Yi Chen shot the locust tree spirit a cold glance and bellowed, "This is your last chance. Are you going to speak or not?" After Yi Chen finished speaking, he flipped his right hand and a blood-red demonic flame appeared with a whoosh. Then, it started burning with a crackling sound. The locust tree spirit's pupils constricted at the sight of the crimson flame, and it shrieked, "How is this possible? Red lotus hellfire! How can you have red lotus hellfire?" Chapter 800. The locust tree spirit was well aware that it had no chance of surviving in Yi Chen's hands. After all, Yi Chen's cultivation level was just too high, and it simply didn't have the ability to fight against him. Of course, this was not important. What was important was that the locust tree spirit did not want to die. In order to survive, the locust tree spirit had revealed the news of the green lotus flag. But the locust tree spirit had not expected that Yi Chen would not let it go after hearing about the green lotus flag. Not only was he determined to kill it, he also wanted to interrogate it about the whereabouts of the green lotus flag. This was beyond the locust tree spirit's expectations. Of course, this was also the outcome it did not want to see the most. But even if the locust tree spirit did not want to see this outcome, it was useless, because Yi Chen's attitude was very clear. Not only was he going to interrogate it about the whereabouts of the green lotus flag, he was also going to kill it. Although Yi Chen's promise was only to destroy the ghostwood tree spirit's main body and not completely destroy its soul, the ghostwood tree spirit was unwilling to accept this promise. No matter how it looked at it, this promise was nonsense. And this completely enraged the locust tree spirit. After all, Yi Chen's methods were too tyrannical, too violent, too nonsensical and completely unreasonable. And it was precisely because the locust tree spirit was completely enraged that it made its final struggle to slander Yi Chen. Of course, this sort of slander seemed very childish and inconsequential, but in reality, the locust tree spirit had done it on purpose. As for the locust tree spirit's goal, other than to disgust Yi Chen, it was to infuriate Yi Chen. That's right, it was to infuriate Yi Chen. Because only by infuriating Yi Chen would there be a possibility that Yi Chen would kill it in a fit of rage without thinking about how to kill the locust tree spirit's soul. It could be said that the locust tree spirit's true goal was this possibility that was almost impossible, no matter how one looked at it. Because as long as this possibility appeared, the locust tree spirit could abandon its body and escape with its soul. As long as the ghostwood tree spirit's soul managed to escape, the ghostwood tree spirit would be able to possess another body and be reborn. This way, the tree spirit wouldn't truly die. Moreover, only the tree spirit would know the exact location of the flag. Of course, this also made Yi Chen even angrier and more furious. It could be said that the ghostwood tree spirit was gambling. To be more precise, it was gambling on the chance of survival. If it won the bet, then the locust tree spirit would naturally get what it wanted, but if it lost, then it would be beyond redemption. However, the locust tree spirit had never expected Yi Chen to be able to use the red lotus karmic fire. Others might not know what the red lotus hellfire was, but the ghostwood tree spirit had devoured the flesh of the shifter players, and with its soul-devouring talent, it had devoured the souls of the shifter players. How could it not know how terrifying the red lotus hellfire was? It was precisely because the ghostwood tree spirit knew how terrifying the red lotus hellfire was that he was enraged the moment he saw it. The appearance of the red lotus hellfire meant that he had completely lost the gamble he had made with his life on the line. To be more precise, he had completely lost his chance of survival. This was because he simply couldn't withstand the burning of the red lotus hellfire. After coming to his senses, the ghostwood tree spirit's withered and hideous face immediately revealed an expression of struggle and hesitation. He didn't know if he should obey Yi Chen's order and reveal the whereabouts of the green lotus flag. Then, he could stretch out his neck and obtain a chance of reincarnation. He didn't want to make such a choice because he couldn't accept it. He wanted to make such a choice because he was worried that his soul would be destroyed and he would disappear from this world. Yi Chen glanced at the ghostwood tree spirit, whose expression of hesitation and struggle flashed across his face. Then, he shouted, "Since you won't speak, then die." As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the red lotus hellfire in his right hand instantly swatted at the ghostwood tree spirit, who was still in Yi Chen's left hand. When the ghostwood tree spirit, who was still hesitating and struggling, saw this, his illusory eyes suddenly narrowed. In that instant, the ghostwood tree spirit opened his mouth without hesitation and shrieked, "I'll speak! I'll speak!" The ghostwood tree spirit compromised because it suddenly understood a very simple principle. That was, rather than completely disappear, it would be better to live on. At the very least, this way, it could obtain a chance of reincarnation and obtain a new life. But if it disobeyed Yi Chen's order, all traces of the ghostwood tree spirit in the human world would disappear completely and return to nothingness. When Yi Chen heard this, he sneered and shouted, "Speak!" After Yi Chen finished speaking, his huge divine sense moved instantly, and the space within a radius of 10 meters was completely locked down. Yi Chen naturally did this to prevent the information about the green lotus flag from being heard by the spectating players. The instant Yi Chen sealed the space within a 10-meter radius, the ghostwood tree spirit let out a long sigh and said, "The green lotus flag is buried in the backyard of Huang Su's old home." "Very good, you can die now." When Yi Chen heard this, his eyes widened and he looked directly at the ghostwood tree spirit in his left hand. Yi Chen clenched his left hand as soon as he finished speaking. With a loud bang, the ghostwood tree spirit in Yi Chen's left hand was instantly crushed by Yi Chen. Then, splinters of wood mixed with blood filled the air and splattered everywhere. In that instant, the ghostwood tree spirit's soul left its body and appeared in midair. Sensing that its soul was still there, the ghostwood tree spirit's eyes lit up and it immediately fled into the distance without a second thought. When Yi Chen, who had yet to deactivate his eyes of fire and gold, saw this, his eyes widened and he roared, "Bastard, I gave you a way out, but you didn't cherish it. Since that's the case, then die for me." After saying this, Yi Chen's right hand, which was burning with the red lotus hellfire, grabbed the ghostwood tree spirit's soul, which crashed into the light barrier created by Yi Chen's divine sense but was unable to break through, and he grabbed it in his hand. In that instant, the red lotus hellfire exploded with a boom. In the blink of an eye, an extremely mournful howl suddenly rang out. The ghostwood tree spirit's howl stopped abruptly and was burned into nothingness by the red lotus hellfire. Seeing this, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain. "You've been tricked." Yi Chen was currently at the Tribulation Transcendence stage and had the ability to enforce the law. Thus, Yi Chen could not casually make promises, but once Yi Chen made a promise, he had to follow through, or the laws of heaven and earth would punish Yi Chen. It was precisely because of this restriction that Yi Chen had not destroyed the ghostwood tree spirit's soul while destroying its body. This was the only way the ghostwood tree spirit would sense the chance of survival, and take action because of this chance of survival. And this way, Yi Chen would be able to kill the ghostwood tree spirit without any qualms. To be more precise, this was a small bug that prevented him from being punished for violating the enforced the law. Of course, Yi Chen was the only one who knew about this little bug. It was impossible for anyone else to know about it. With this thought, Yi Chen raised an eyebrow. With a wave of his right hand, the light barrier created by his divine sense instantly vanished. At this moment, Huang Sheng, who had seen the blood and wood fragments on the ground, straightened his tattered robe, and without hesitation, bowed toward Yi Chen and said in a loud voice, "Huang Sheng, Huang Hansheng, is willing to follow my master for all eternity and never betray me. I humbly ask for my master's permission." Chapter 801. As soon as Huang Sheng finished speaking, the system notification rang out. Ding! The historical superclass generals, Huang Sheng and Huang Hansheng, wish to acknowledge you as their master. Will you accept? As soon as the system notification ended, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows and made his decision without hesitation. Except, Yi Chen had specially come out of the inn and treated Huang Su in order to subdue Huang Xing. Now that Huang Xing had taken the initiative to acknowledge him as his master, how could Yi Chen not accept? As soon as Yi Chen made his decision, the system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for successfully subduing the historical superclass generals, Huang Xing and Huang Hanxing. As soon as Yi Chen heard this, the corners of his lips curled up. At this moment, the world announcement rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for being the 6th person to obtain the loyalty of the historical superclass generals, Huang Xing and Huang Hanxing. Special reward to player Yi Chen, 10 million gold taels. The world announcement rang out 3 times in a row, instantly causing the entire world channel to explode. F***CK. Huang Xing's subduing mission has just started and it's already over? Damn, I knew that Huang Xing would be subdued by Yi Chen in the end. But isn't this too fast? Hee, it doesn't matter if it's fast or slow. With Boss Yi Chen around, no one can take advantage of this. That's right. Boss Yi Chen is the best. There's no one else who can compare to him. Damn, my teleportation fee was wasted. Waha, I didn't teleport at all. I already knew that with Yi Chen in Luoyang, it would be useless for anyone to go. Damn, Yi Chen is already the 6th historical superclass general. If this goes on, all the historical superclass generals will run into Yi Chen's pocket. What's the use of being envious? Don't forget, Yi Chen's cultivation realm and Yi Chen's official position and title are both incomparable. How can he compete with Yi Chen? A bunch of fools. Even if you think so much, you won't be able to subdue a superclass historical general. You might as well use the time to kill monsters and level up. Or, you might as well prepare tools, medicine, and the like. Don't forget that there will be a world war in a few days. You idiot, what's the point of telling them? Tell them to be prepared and fight with us when the time comes. Idiot, the world war will affect the entire world. Players of the Eastern region should unite. Otherwise, why don't you try going out by yourself? I can guarantee that if you go out by yourself, you'll be killed by the foreign players in minutes. This guy is right. When the world war starts, we do need to band together. Otherwise, we will be treated as monsters and killed by the foreign player army. What's there to be afraid of? Don't forget that we have Yi Chen in the Eastern region. If those foreign players dare to come over, they'll be killed by Yi Chen in minutes. Don't talk nonsense. I think Yi Chen will go out of the country directly. He won't stay in the Eastern region. I think so too. After all, going out of the country to fight and kill foreign players gives EXP, and you can also get items. When the time comes, I'll follow Yi Chen. Not only will I be safe, but I can also get items continuously. Even if it's something that Yi Chen doesn't want, I'll still be able to earn a lot. The world channel was abuzz with activity. Soon, the topic shifted from Yi Chen's subduing of Huang Xing to the world war. Yi Chen glanced at it and raised his eyebrows. Follow me. The more, the better. Otherwise, it won't be easy for me to destroy a country and steal its luck. Once the world war started, killing foreign players would give EXP. Of course, they could also get merits, equipment, skills, and other items. This was the reason why the players were attracted to the World War. Yi Chen's participation in the World War was completely different from the players, except for the EXP that he gained. To be more precise, Yi Chen's participation in the World War was to steal the luck of the foreign countries. To do this, it wasn't just about conquering territory. To be more precise, Yi Chen wanted to completely snatch away the heaven and earth fate of the foreign nations. Aside from conquering these foreign nations, he also wanted to ensure that the players of these foreign nations would not be able to take back their nations. To do this, Yi Chen had to leave behind troops to guard the country and cut off wave after wave of foreign players who wanted to counterattack. Otherwise, he had to borrow the strength of the players in the eastern region to kill the foreign players who wanted to counterattack. Between the two options, the former would cause Yi Chen's army to be completely scattered. Moreover, there might not be enough to distribute. After all, Yi Chen's army was only about 2 million, and Yi Chen had to deal with the entire world. It was for this reason that Yi Chen preferred the latter, which was to let the players follow behind and reap the benefits. In this way, Yi Chen could completely steal the luck of the foreign countries without wasting a single soldier. Of course, Yi Chen thought this way because the success rate of this plan was very high. It should be known that the players were greedy. No one would give up on those foreign players who were easy to kill and gave a lot of EXP. Moreover, they would be very popular. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. Then, he looked directly at Huang Xing and transmitted his voice. From today onwards, Han Xing will be the 14th general of the Reincarnation Immortal City and will lead 100,000 soldiers. Yi Chen deliberately chose to transmit his voice and didn't speak directly because this was Luoyang, and there were countless people watching on the street. If Yi Chen were here and said these words directly, it wouldn't take long for Lu Hong to hear it. And when Lu Hong heard Yi Chen's words, the false news of Yi Chen's losses, due to the demon invasion and the Golden Turban Rebellion, would be directly exposed. In this way, Lu Hong's suspicion that Yi Chen had dispelled would be directly rebounded, and it would be an explosive rebound. At that time, no matter what Yi Chen said, it would be useless. Lu Hong would definitely think of ways to remove Yi Chen from his official position, remove Yi Chen from his noble title, and even label Yi Chen as a traitor. Although Yi Chen wasn't afraid of this, Yi Chen didn't want his plan to be wasted. After all, Yi Chen was aiming for all the heaven luck in the beginner's area of the Three Kingdoms. If Yi Chen was labeled as a traitor by Lu Hong, then even if Yi Chen unified the world, it would be useless. It was also for this reason that Yi Chen chose to transmit his voice directly to Huang Xing instead of speaking directly. Huang Xing was stunned when he heard Yi Chen's voice transmission. After he came to his senses, Huang Xing hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen and said loudly, "Huang Xing and Huang Hanxing pay respects to the Lord." Chapter 802. Although Huang Xing did not know why Yi Chen would use a voice transmission to talk to him, Huang Xing was very clear about one thing. No matter how puzzled he was, he could not ask Yi Chen. Otherwise, he would do something wrong and attract the displeasure of Yi Chen. For Huang Xing, who had just followed Yi Chen, this was no different from an extremely stupid thing to do. Of course, Yi Chen's voice transmission was only one of the reasons why Huang Xing was stunned. Apart from this, Yi Chen directly appointed Huang Xing as the general of the Reincarnation Immortal City, leading an army of 100,000 soldiers. This also shocked Huang Xing. One must know that Huang Xing was only an ordinary person, while Yi Chen was the general of agile cavalry of the Great Han Empire, the governor of Yuzhou Province, and the noble Yu of Beech, a great immortal who possessed the ability of an immortal. Could be said that Huang Xing and Yi Chen were on two different levels. One was the earth, the other was the sky. There was no comparison at all. It was precisely because of this difference in status that Huang Xing subconsciously thought that it was a great fortune that Yi Chen was willing to accept him. Under such circumstances, Yi Chen should not give him any official position. Even if he did, it would only be the position of a deputy general. Who would have thought that the reality was completely beyond Huang Xing's expectations? Not only did Yi Chen accept him without hesitation, he even directly gave him the position of general of the Reincarnation Immortal City. How could Huang Xing not know what this meant? It was also because Huang Xing knew what this meant that he was so shocked and stunned. After all, he never thought that Yi Chen would value him so much. It was also because of this that Huang Xing did not hesitate to pay his respects to Yi Chen after coming back to his senses. Moreover, his words were filled with excitement and gratitude. After hearing Huang Xing's words that were filled with excitement and gratitude, Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. Then, he said, "Wait a moment. Please wait a moment. I'll help Huang Su heal his body first." Huang Xing's eyes turned red when he heard this. Then, he bowed to Yi Chen gratefully and said, "Zhong, thank you, my lord." Upon hearing this, Yi Chen chuckled and waved his hand. At this moment, Philos Aureus, who was waiting on the other side of the street due to Yi Chen's order to prohibit civilians from approaching, came to Yi Chen's side with an agitated expression. She then solemnly bowed to Yi Chen and said, "Woody, thank you, Lord Beach. We're family, so there's no need to be so polite." When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but smile. After that, he directly walked towards Huang Su. When Philos Aureus heard this, she was stunned. When she came to her senses, Philos Aureus's eyes brightened and revealed an expression of indescribable gratitude. Philos Aureus couldn't help but be moved. After all, Yi Chen had saved Huang Su and was now going to treat Huang Su's injuries. Of course, Philos Aureus was so moved because Yi Chen was approachable and sunny and handsome. Looking at Yi Chen's back, Philos Aureus opened her mouth several times, but in the end, Philos Aureus couldn't utter a single word. This was because she didn't want to disturb Yi Chen's treatment of Huang Su, and also because she didn't know what to say. When Huang Xing saw this, he froze for a moment before patting Philos Aureus's shoulder and saying softly, "Woody, Woody isn't an ordinary person. Woody, Master is no ordinary person. Perhaps he won't look down on you just because you're a woman, Father. Woody understands." Philos Aureus couldn't help but blush when she heard this, and then she lowered her head and replied softly. Yi Chen, who had just walked over to Huang Su's side, couldn't help but raise an eyebrow when he heard this. It seemed that Philos Aureus wanted to be a general. Yi Chen couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. After all, it wasn't hard to discern Philos Aureus's thoughts from the conversation between Philos Aureus and Huang Xing. Of course, if not for Yi Chen's extremely sharp senses, he wouldn't have been able to hear the conversation between Philos Aureus and Huang Xing. After all, the two of them were speaking very softly. A woman's body, a heart that refused to admit defeat, and a desire to be a heroine. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. With a wave of his right hand, a small pond made of stalactites instantly appeared on the ground. At this moment, a strong and comfortable medicinal fragrance directly appeared from the small pool, and then quickly spread out. What Yi Chen had summoned was the Millennium Stalactite milk that he had obtained in the real world a long time ago. It had the ability to cleanse the marrow and raise the foundation of the bones. It was extremely effective in healing injuries and negative states of the body. Huang Su's current state was one where he had lost a large amount of blood essence and his vitality had been greatly damaged. Naturally, using the Millennium Stalactite milk to heal him was the best option. Glancing at the Millennium Stalactite milk in the small pond, Yi Chen smiled faintly. With a suction force from his right hand, 3 balls of Millennium Stalactite milk flew out of the small pond and headed straight for Huang Su. Huang Su, who had fainted when the locust tree essence left his body, instantly regained some vitality when he smelled the medicinal fragrance of the Millennium Stalactite milk. He then opened his eyes. Seeing this, Yi Chen nodded in satisfaction and said, "Eat this. Eat it and your body will recover." Hearing this, Huang Su was taken aback. Then, he recalled that Yi Chen was an immortal. In that instant, Huang Su's eyes were filled with excitement and indescribable gratitude. It was hard for Huang Su not to be excited, and it was even harder for Huang Su not to be moved. After all, not only had Yi Chen saved him earlier, Yi Chen had even taken out a divine medicine to treat him. So long as he consumed the 1,000-year stalactite milk that Yi Chen spoke of, his body would completely recover and avoid becoming a weakling that didn't even have the strength to truss up a chicken. It could be said that what Yi Chen had done for Huang Su was equivalent to the grace of rebirth twice. How could Huang Su, who knew all this, not be moved? How could he not be excited? Thank you. You. Lord Yu of Beech, Huang Su, who had just regained his senses, used all his strength to shout this simple sentence. Huang Su really wanted to swallow the Millennium Stalactite milk to recover his broken body, but he couldn't do so because he hadn't thanked Yi Chen yet. If he didn't even say, "thank you," not only would Huang Xing not agree, but even Huang Su wouldn't forgive himself. Hearing this, Yi Chen instantly understood Huang Su's meaning. He shook his head helplessly and said, "Enough. All right, there's no need to say any more. Hurry up and eat the Millennium Stalactite milk." After hearing Yi Chen's words, Huang Su nodded with great effort. Then, he opened his mouth and swallowed the 3 balls of Millennium Stalactite milk floating in front of him. In that instant, a huge amount of energy appeared in Huang Su's body. Then, Huang Su's body recovered, at a speed visible to the naked eye. After 10 minutes, Huang Su, who had been as dry as a skeleton, turned into a normal young man. Although his body was still thin and weak, he was completely different from his dying state from before. Seeing this, Yi Chen nodded in satisfaction. Then, he grabbed at the air with his right hand and instantly stored the Millennium Stalactite milk into his pocket dimension. At this moment, Huang Su exhaled deeply and alighted from the carriage without a carriage. In the next second, Huang Su knelt on one knee before Yi Chen without hesitation. Then, he cupped his hands and bowed loudly. "Huang Su is willing to follow the Lord for all eternity and never betray you. Please grant me the Lord's permission." Chapter 803. As soon as Huang Su finished speaking, the system notification rang out. Ding! The historical superclass general, Huang Su, wishes to recognize you as his master. Will you accept? As soon as the system notification ended, Yi Chen's eyes widened. Holy shit! Huang Su was actually not a first-rate historical general, but a superclass historical general. In Yi Chen's previous life, no one had subdued Huang Xing, and no one had saved Huang Su. As a result, Huang Su had not been able to leave much behind in history. His soul had directly returned to the underworld, becoming the most aggrieved general in history. In his previous life, when Yi Chen had heard this news, he had not felt anything special. He had only felt that the novice region of the 3 kingdoms had lost yet another first-rate historical general. Now Yi Chen had been reborn. In Luoyang City, he had met Huang Xing's family. Without hesitation, he had saved Huang Su. In fact, other than wanting to subdue Huang Xing, who had been confirmed to be subdued long ago, he had also wanted to subdue Huang Su and Philostes Aureus. Philostes Aureus was a first-rate historical general. Yi Chen had known this long ago. After all, in his previous life, Philostes Aureus had appeared during the struggle for hegemony. Although there had been no news of her very quickly, this did not affect Yi Chen's memory. Of course, this was not important. What was important was Huang Su, who had died early in his previous life. To be more precise, Huang Su was a general, and a first-rate historical general at that. If Yi Chen could subdue him after saving him, it would naturally be a good thing. After all, if Yi Chen wanted to walk the path of imperial providence, he would need a lot of generals under his command. Who would have thought that Huang Su was not a first-rate historical general, as Yi Chen had thought, but a superclass historical general? Otherwise, the system would not have given Yi Chen such a notification. It was also because of this that Yi Chen felt somewhat surprised. Of course, Yi Chen liked this surprise very much. After all, Huang Su's status as a superclass historical general was much better than that of a first-rate general. Thinking of this, Yi Chen made his choice without hesitation. Except, as soon as Yi Chen made his decision, the system notification sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for successfully subduing the legendary historical general, Huang Su. As soon as the system notification ended, Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. This unexpected surprise was not bad at all. Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. Then, he stepped forward and helped Huang Su up. Glancing at Huang Su, whose eyes were filled with gratitude, excitement, and hope, Yi Chen patted Huang Su's shoulder and sent him a voice transmission. From today onwards, you will be the 7th general of our reincarnation immortal city and will lead 100,000 soldiers. Although Huang Su had just recovered, his status as a top-tier historical general was there for all to see. He was completely qualified to command an army of 100,000. Otherwise, Yi Chen wouldn't have said this. As for Yi Chen's voice transmission to appoint Huang Su, it was naturally to prevent the surrounding commoners from hearing this and spreading the news to Lu Hong's ears. Hearing Yi Chen's voice transmission, Huang Su was immediately dumbfounded. Huang Su had been worried that Yi Chen wouldn't accept him after he said that he would be recognized as his master. After all, he was just an ordinary commoner, while Yi Chen was the king of Yuzhou, who had an incomparable status, and an immortal with great magical powers. Who would have thought that the result would be completely out of his expectations? His master, Yi Chen, who had saved his life, would not only accept him, but also directly entrust him with an important task. How could Huang Su not know what this meant? It was precisely because he knew that Huang Su was dumbfounded on the spot. After coming to his senses, a feeling of excitement, gratitude, and a gentleman dying for his bosom friend instantly appeared in Huang Su's heart, and then directly exploded. In the next second, Huang Su knelt down on one knee in front of Yi Chen without any hesitation. Then, he raised 3 fingers and yelled, "I'm sorry. Huang Su swears to the heavens that I will follow my master until death. As long as my master's sword points, even if it is a mountain of swords or a sea of fire, Huang Su is willing to go forward without regret until death." As soon as Huang Su's words fell, the system's prompt sounded. Ding, Huang Su's loyalty plus 30, advanced to die loyal. As soon as the system's prompt ended, Yi Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows. Not bad, another die loyal subordinate. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, Huang Xing, who had completely recovered, and Philos Aureus, Huang Su and Huang Xing walked straight over. When the two came to Yi Chen's side, Huang Xing looked at Huang Su with tears in his eyes, and then directly looked at Yi Chen. Then, he knelt on one knee in front of Yi Chen and swore to the heavens, "Huang Xing, Huang Hanxing, swear to follow my master until death and never betray him. If I violate this oath, my soul shall be destroyed." As soon as Huang Xing finished speaking, the system's prompt sounded. Ding, Huang Xing's loyalty plus 30, advanced to die loyal. As soon as the system's prompt ended, Philos Aureus, who was standing next to Huang Xing, struggled for a moment, and then directly knelt on one knee in front of Yi Chen and loudly said, "Philos Aureus is willing to follow my master. I beg my master to take me in." As soon as Philos Aureus finished speaking, the system's prompt sounded. Ding, a top-class historical general, a top-class historical beauty, Philos Aureus, wishes to recognize you as her master. Do you accept? As soon as the system's prompt ended, Yi Chen was stunned. The hell? What's going on? In his previous life, wasn't Philos Aureus a top-class historical general? How did she become a top-class historical general now? In his previous life, Philos Aureus was indeed a top-class historical general. Yi Chen remembered this very clearly. But at this moment, because Philos Aureus wanted to recognize him as her master, the system's prompt wouldn't deceive Yi Chen. Yi Chen was also clear on this point. Could it be that in his previous life, Philos Aureus had encountered something before she followed Huang Xing and followed Emperor Lu? Could it be that this caused her to drop from a top-class historical general to a top-class historical general? Damn it, maybe that's really the case. Otherwise, how could a top-class historical general disappear so quickly after appearing for such a short period of time? Thinking of this, Yi Chen made his choice without hesitation. Except, as soon as Yi Chen made his decision, the system's prompt rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for successfully subduing top-class historical general and top-class historical beauty Philosts Aureus. As soon as the system's prompt ended, Yi Chen helped Huang Xing up and patted him on the shoulder before looking at Philosts Aureus. Just as Philosts Aureus's face started to turn red from Yi Chen's gaze, Yi Chen bent down and gently helped Philosts Aureus up. In the next second, Yi Chen looked at Philosts Aureus and asked seriously, "Woody, do you want to enter the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, or do you want to lead troops into battle and gallop across the battlefield?" As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, Philosts Aureus was stunned. Huang Xing, who was beside her, was also stunned. However, Huang Xing's eyes immediately lit up. While Philosts Aureus was still in a daze, Huang Xing bowed to Yi Chen without hesitation. "If my lord likes it, this loyal servant is willing to make the decision to allow Woody to enter the Copper Sparrow Pavilion." As soon as Huang Xing finished speaking, Philosts Aureus looked at him blankly and asked, "Father, what does the Copper Sparrow Pavilion do?" Chapter 804. Philosts Aureus should be asking Yi Chen and not Huang Xing. However, Philosts Aureus's complicated feelings made her not dare to look at Yi Chen, much less speak to Yi Chen. She was shy, nervous, and at a loss. She had no choice. Who asked her to imitate a man and take the initiative to acknowledge Yi Chen as her master on the street? The moment Philosts Aureus finished speaking, Huang Xing suddenly coughed a few times. However, he quickly calmed down and looked at Philosts Aureus. "Only young and beautiful women can stay at the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. Once you enter the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, no matter what the Lord wants you to do, you must obey and cooperate. Do you hear me?" Yi Chen's face froze when he heard Huang Xing's words. F***K. Why does it feel like Huang Xing is calling me a perverted thief when he says that? Huang Xing naturally wouldn't say that Yi Chen was a pervert, nor would he think that way. After all, he had already acknowledged Yi Chen as his master and was extremely loyal to him. There was no possibility of him having any ill intentions. Yi Chen had no choice but to think this way. After all, Huang Xing's words contained too many ambiguities. Just as Yi Chen thought of this, Huang Su, who was also confused by the words, Copper Sparrow Pavilion, was stunned. He instinctively looked at Huang Xing and asked, "Father, little sister is going to be the Lord's concubine?" Huang Xing's face darkened when he heard Huang Su's words. Huang Su's face froze because he felt that he had said the wrong thing. Moreover, this wasn't a suitable place to talk about this. Philosts Aureus, who was standing at the side, obviously understood what the Copper Sparrow Pavilion meant after hearing Huang Su's words. At this moment, Philosts Aureus's little face turned bright red. She immediately lowered her head and subconsciously rubbed the corners of her clothes with her hands. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows when he saw Philosts Aureus's shy and nervous actions. At the same time, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Damn it. Luckily Huang Su is a little silly. Otherwise, my great image in Philosts Aureus's heart would be destroyed. At this thought, Yi Chen couldn't help but glare at Huang Xing. Yi Chen glare. Huang Xing was shocked, and immediately knelt down on one knee to beg Yi Chen to forgive Huang Su's rudeness. Although Huang Xing believed that Huang Su was the one who made Yi Chen unhappy, Huang Su was still his son. He had no choice but to do this. However, Huang Xing was only halfway through kneeling on one knee when Yi Chen grabbed him. Then, Huang Xing stopped his kneeling. Yi Chen glanced at Huang Xing, who was stunned by his actions, and said with a chuckle, "There's no need for that. Besides, what Huang Su said isn't entirely wrong. Although it's not appropriate to talk about this in public, it's just a small matter. There's no need to take it to heart." Huang Xing's eyes lit up when he heard Yi Chen's words. Huang Su, who was about to apologize, heaved a sigh of relief. He then knelt down on one knee and bowed to Yi Chen. Your Highness, this general was foolish. Please punish me. I didn't even take it to heart. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and get up. Yi Chen glared at Huang Su and said. Huang Su was overjoyed when he heard Yi Chen's casual tone. He then cupped his fists and bowed. Yes, Your Highness. Yi Chen chuckled and nodded. He then turned to the bashful Philos Aureus and asked, What's the matter? Woody, have you thought it through? Huang Xing had just realized Yi Chen's intentions. In order to repay his kindness and for the sake of Philos Aureus's future, he had unhesitatingly made a decision for Philos Aureus. Logically speaking, Yi Chen didn't need to ask Philos Aureus. After all, the matter was already set in stone. As for the reason, it was very simple. This was the three kingdoms, and they followed the principle of parents, orders and matchmakers. Since Huang Xing had spoken, even if Philos Aureus was unwilling, she couldn't go against Huang Xing's decision. But the problem was that Yi Chen couldn't take this for granted. After all, Philos Aureus had previously expressed her desire to become a heroine, or perhaps a female general. If Yi Chen didn't care about Philos Aureus's thoughts and directly accepted Philos Aureus into the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, then Philos Aureus might very well die of depression. This wasn't an outcome that Yi Chen wanted to see. It was precisely because of this that Yi Chen had specifically asked Philos Aureus. When Yi Chen's words fell, Philos Aureus's hands, which were fiddling with the hem of her clothes, immediately stiffened. But soon, Philos Aureus nodded lightly and softly replied. It's all up to father. When Yi Chen heard this, he was stunned and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Well, it seems that I'm still more charming. Yi Chen's thoughts were not because Yi Chen was narcissistic, but because it was the truth and inevitable. After all, Yi Chen was handsome, had a noble status, and was an immortal who possessed great magical powers. Such an existence was extremely lethal to the women of this era. Otherwise, how could Yi Chen have subdued so many first-rate historical beauties and super-first-rate historical beauties? At this moment, hadn't Philos Aureus, who dreamed of becoming a female general, also changed her dream because of Yi Chen? He didn't expect that taking in Huang Xing would be so difficult. All that was left was to go to Huang Xing's hometown and obtain the green lotus flag. At this thought, Yi Chen looked directly at Philos Aureus and said, Come with me to the inn. In that case, follow me to the inn. I will send you back to the reincarnation immortal city later. Yes. My husband. When Philos Aureus heard this, she blushed again and lowered her head nervously. When Yi Chen saw this, he couldn't help but smile. Then, he looked at Huang Xing and Huang Su and said, Come with me. All of you, come with me. There are some things I need to tell you. Yes, my lord. After confirming that Philos Aureus had really been taken in by Yi Chen, Huang Xing and Huang Su looked at each other and bowed to Yi Chen in unison. Yi Chen nodded and then pulled the nervous and shy Philos Aureus to the inn. When Huang Xing and Huang Su saw this, they hurriedly followed behind. At this moment, a world announcement sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for being the 7th person to obtain the loyalty of the first-rate historical general, Huang Su. Player Yi Chen is specially rewarded with 10 million gold taels. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for being the 8th person to obtain the loyalty of the first-rate historical general, Philos Aureus. Player Yi Chen is specially rewarded with 10 million gold taels. Because of her status as a first-rate historical beauty, player Yi Chen is additionally rewarded with 100,000 purple taels. Chapter 805. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, instantly causing the entire world channel to explode. F***CK. F***CK. Are you kidding me? It's fine if Huang Xing is a superclass historical general, but why are Huang Su and Philosts Aureus also superclass historical generals? 3 generals in one family, and they're all superclass. F***ck. Do they have to be so perverted? You missed out on one point. Philosts Aureus is also a top-class historical beauty. F***ck. There's no justice in this world. Good stuff, historical generals, historical beauties, they're all in Yi Chen's hand. Are you envious? Jealous? Waha, Boss Yi Chen is the most awesome. I'll ask you one question. Are you convinced? Lackey, no matter how well you perform, Yi Chen won't accept you as a lackey. So what? In any case, I firmly believe that one day, Boss Yi Chen will change his mind. Dream on. Yi Chen is already so awesome. With his current strength, he doesn't need to worry about anyone betraying him. In the end, didn't he still refuse to accept anyone? Idiot. Boss Yi Chen is awesome now, but as long as Boss Yi Chen is online, he won't be able to sense what's happening in the real world. If Boss Yi Chen is ambushed or plotted against, wouldn't Boss Yi Chen have to bear the brunt of it? I think so too. That's why I'm still waiting for Boss Yi Chen to change his mind. The World Channel was in an uproar, and the screen was flooded with comments. The topic quickly changed from Yi Chen taking in Huang Xing's family to Yi Chen still hasn't taken in any underlings. Yi Chen glanced at it and was stunned. He didn't expect the players to guess why he wasn't accepting any lackeys. It seemed like backstabbing in the real world had happened quite a lot during this period of time. Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain at the thought of this and continued on his way to the pleasant arrival inn. What the gamers thought and judged had nothing to do with Yi Chen. No matter how dark and chaotic the real world was, it had nothing to do with Yi Chen. This was because Yi Chen had never thought of being a savior. Happy arrival in Sky Room. When Yi Chen arrived with Philosts Aureus, Huang Xing, and Huang Su, he immediately looked at Huang Xing and asked, "What's the matter? Where is the Huang family's old house?" Yi Chen had already received news of the green lotus flag from the locust tree spirit, so he naturally wouldn't miss it. It was also for this reason that Yi Chen had asked Huang Xing about it. Huang Xing was taken aback by Yi Chen's question. Although he didn't understand Yi Chen's sudden question, he didn't dare to delay. After regaining his senses, he hurriedly bowed to Yi Chen and said, "My lord, Lord. Zhong's old house is in the western district of Nanyang City. It's about 300 meters away from the western city gate." Yi Chen nodded and continued asking, "What are the surrounding areas? Are there any landmarks in the surroundings?" "My lord, there's a grain store directly opposite the old house. To the left of the grain store is a cloth store, and to the right of the store is a wine shop." Huang Xing hurriedly bowed when he heard Yi Chen's question. Yi Chen smiled and said, "Very well. In a moment, I'll give you some cultivation techniques and equipment. Then, I'll send you to the reincarnation immortal city. Once there, you and Huang Su can look for Guo Yi or Mi Zhu. They'll arrange everything for you. As for the selection of soldiers, you can go to the drill ground by yourselves." "Yes, my lord." Huang Xing and Huang Su's eyes lit up when they heard this. They hurriedly bowed and greeted Yi Chen loudly. Yi Chen chuckled and nodded when he heard this. He then looked at Philosts Aureus and said, "Woody, once you reach the reincarnation immortal city, you can go directly to the city lord's mansion. Once there, look for Zhao Yu and tell her what happened." Philosts Aureus blushed when she heard Yi Chen's words. She then nodded lightly. However, before she could say anything, Yi Chen continued, "Don't worry, there's no need for you to worry. You don't need to think too much about it. I can only marry one wife. This doesn't apply to me because all my women are my wives." Philosts Aureus was stunned when she heard this. Huang Xing and Huang Su were also stunned. They never imagined that their lord, Yi Chen, who was about to marry the great Han Empire's Princess Zhaoyang and Princess Changel, would actually say such words. What was a wife? That was the wife of the head of the family, the wife who was officially married. Yi Chen's words, "All my women are my wives," were a huge shock to Huang Xing, Huang Su, and even Philostes Aureus. After all, the status of a concubine couldn't be compared to that of a wife. If they had to choose, Huang Xing and Huang Su would definitely hope that Philostes Aureus would be Yi Chen's wife, and not Yi Chen's concubine. Philostes Aureus would definitely be the same. However, this was something that they felt to be simply impossible. After all, Yi Chen was about to marry the Great Han Empire's Princess Zhaoyang and Princess Chang'e of the Great Han Empire tomorrow. Even if Yi Chen fell in love with Philostes Aureus at first sight and liked Philostes Aureus to the extreme, it was still impossible for him to make Philostes Aureus his wife. Who would have thought that the result would be completely out of their expectations? Their lord Yi Chen had actually said, "All my women are my wives." How could this not shock Huang Xing, Huang Su, and Philostes Aureus? After regaining his composure, Huang Xing hastily looked at Yi Chen and then bowed to Yi Chen. "Your Highness, it is already a great fortune for Woody to become your Highness' concubine. Your Highness must not offend His Majesty because of Woody. Unless your Highness wants to unify the world, you must not do this." "Father-in-law, you're overthinking it. I am merely stating the decision that I have already announced. Naturally, I would not announce this matter to the public right now," Yi Chen said with a smile when he heard this. If Yi Chen were to announce that all his women were his wives, he would immediately incur the wrath of Lu Hong. After all, Yi Chen's actions were the same as slapping Lu Hong in the face. Moreover, it was a resounding slap. It would be strange if Lu Hong wasn't angry. And to Yi Chen, who was wholeheartedly scheming to seize the heaven fortune of the Three Kingdoms novice region, this was not a good thing. Hearing this, Huang Xing was stunned for a moment before letting out a long sigh. However, he immediately froze. After regaining his composure, Huang Xing hastily bowed. "Your Highness, this form of address. Yi Chen couldn't help but smile and say, "It's fine. Since the marriage has already been decided, we are one family. It is only right for me to call you father-in-law. There is no need for father-in-law to feel conflicted over this." Huang Xing's heart immediately warmed when he heard this. He then looked at Philostes Aureus, who had recovered from her shock and was now blushing with joy. He said, "Woody, when we go to the Samsara, immortal city, get along well with the matriarch. Don't throw a tantrum." Chapter 806. When Philostes Aureus heard this, her face instantly turned deathly pale. Then, she hurriedly looked at Yi Chen and anxiously explained, My husband, this concubine has never thrown a tantrum." When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but be taken aback. "Damn, Philostes Aureus is worried that I'll misunderstand her and become unruly and willful." Thinking of this, Yi Chen helplessly shook his head. Then, he looked directly at Philostes Aureus and said, "I know. Don't overthink it. Father-in-law said that to tell you to get along with your sisters in the city lord's mansion. Don't get into conflicts over trivial matters." When Yi Chen said this, Huang Xing, who had just realized that he had said the wrong thing, and his expression froze, immediately heaved a sigh of relief. However, compared to before, his expression was much more awkward. When Philostes Aureus heard Yi Chen's words, she also heaved a sigh of relief. After carefully looking at Yi Chen, she lowered her head and timidly said, "This concubine thanks my husband for understanding." Philostes Aureus suddenly became nervous and afraid because of Huang Xing's advice. This was something that couldn't be helped. After all, this was the Three Kingdoms. A married woman obeys her husband, was the standard of the entire era. If Yi Chen really thought that Philostes Aureus was unruly and willful, then Philostes Aureus would very likely be disliked by Yi Chen. After all, not many men liked their women to be unruly and willful. And Philostes Aureus thought so. Otherwise, Philostes Aureus wouldn't have suddenly become so anxious. When Yi Chen heard Philos Aureus's words, he couldn't help but smile. Then, he said, "It's not a big deal. Look at how nervous you are. Don't be like this in the future." "Yes, husband." Philos Aureus blushed and hurriedly replied. When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded his head. Then, he looked at Huang Xing, whose old face was filled with embarrassment, and Huang Su, who was standing at the side with his head lowered, as if he had not heard or seen anything. "I have a chaos-level cultivation method. It's called Green Lotus Sword Arts. I'm going to teach it to you now. Are you willing to learn it?" When Yi Chen finished speaking, Huang Xing and Huang Su were both stunned. They had never heard of a chaos-grade cultivation method, so they naturally did not know what a chaos-grade cultivation method represented. Of course, this did not hinder their judgment. To be more precise, the Green Lotus Sword spell that their lord Yi Chen mentioned was definitely not simple. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not have specifically mentioned the Green Lotus Sword spell. After regaining their senses, Huang Xing and Huang Su looked at each other, then simultaneously bowed to Yi Chen and said, "Lord, we have not done anything. My lord, we haven't done anything yet. It's not suitable for us to accept your reward." Huang Xing and Huang Su naturally knew the benefits of a good cultivation method. However, they could not accept it casually because they were not the only generals in Reincarnation Immortal City. If they accepted it and the other generals heard about it, there was an 80 to 90% chance that they would be dissatisfied with them. This was not the result they wanted to see. When Yi Chen heard Huang Xing and Huang Su's response, he couldn't help but be taken aback. Then, he immediately understood what Huang Xing and Huang Su were worried about. After regaining his senses, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. Then, he said, "My cultivation method is only for my loyal followers. My cultivation technique will only be imparted to my loyal followers. It doesn't matter whether they've succeeded or not. Moreover, only by imparting my cultivation technique will you be able to conquer the world for me and the Reincarnation Immortal City, sweeping away all our enemies." When Huang Xing and Huang Su heard this, they were once again taken aback. Then, they simultaneously looked at Yi Chen, bowed and said, "Lord, this." Huang Xing and Huang Su were already loyal to Yi Chen, so they fulfilled Yi Chen's conditions. However, they still felt that it was inappropriate to accept Yi Chen's reward without even doing anything. It was unreasonable. When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Then, he asked with a surprised expression, "The Green Lotus Sword spell is the best cultivation method in the Desolation era. Once mastered, one can become a saint. You don't want such an opportunity?" When Huang Xing and Huang Su heard this, they were stunned for a moment. Then, their eyes widened. After regaining their senses, Huang Xing and Huang Su, the father and son pair, both shouted in surprise. Become a saint. This Huang Xing and Huang Su knew that the Green Lotus Sword spell that Yi Chen mentioned was of a very high grade. Moreover, it was an existence that transcended the mortal world. However, they never thought that the Green Lotus Sword spell was not only a top cultivation method, but also a cultivation method that could allow them to become a saint. This fact seriously exceeded Huang Xing and Huang Su's imagination. How could they not be stunned? How could they not be shocked? When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the indescribably shocked Huang Xing and Huang Su. Then, he chuckled and nodded and said, "That's right. Become a saint." When Huang Xing and Huang Su heard this, they both took a deep breath. After exhaling a long breath, they looked at each other. Then, without hesitation, they knelt on the ground and bowed loudly to Yi Chen. "Huang Xing, Huang Su, greets Master. We swear that even if our cultivation is stronger, even if we become a saint, we will still be loyal to Lord. We will follow you in life and death, and we will never betray you. If we violate this oath, our body and soul will vanish, and heaven and earth will punish us. Although Huang Xing and Huang Su didn't want to make Yi Chen's subordinates unhappy, they also didn't want to miss out on this opportunity. Affirming the Tao and becoming a saint was not something that could be compared to being a high-ranking official, a general, or an emperor. It was also because of this reason that Huang Xing and Huang Su abandoned their previous stubbornness without hesitation and chose to accept Yi Chen's inheritance. Of course, accepting was accepting, but they couldn't just accept it like receiving a reward, where they could only express their gratitude. After all, what Yi Chen gave them was a cultivation method. Moreover, it was a cultivation method that could allow them to become a saint. This was the same as passing down the Tao. Therefore, they had to acknowledge him as their master. Even if one of them was Yi Chen's father-in-law and the other was Yi Chen's brother-in-law, they still had to acknowledge him as their master. Chapter 807. As soon as Huang Xing and Huang Su finished their vows, the sky above Luoyang City rumbled with thunder and lightning. Rumble. When Yi Chen heard this, he glanced at the sky outside the window and raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Huang Xing and Huang Su's future achievements would not be low. It was no wonder that Yi Chen thought this way. One must know that the world's response would not appear casually. Now, Huang Xing and Huang Su, who had yet to reach the mortal evolution state, actually used their vows to attract the world's response. This was enough to prove that the content of their vows could be realized. To be more precise, even if Huang Xing and Huang Su were unable to become saints, they would still be able to walk very far on the path of cultivation. Otherwise, the world would not respond to their vows. This was the main reason why Yi Chen was happy. After all, the stronger his subordinates were, the more help they would be to Yi Chen. How could Yi Chen not be happy? Thinking about this, Yi Chen could not help but smile. Then, he raised his right hand and pointed his index finger at the void twice. In the next second, two streams of information instantly flew out and directly rushed into Huang Xing's and Huang Su's heads, entering them in a flash. The instant the information entered Huang Xing and Huang Su's minds, they closed their eyes at the same time and began to comprehend the content of the cultivation method. When Yi Chen saw this, the connate cardinal treasure, the heaven and earth cauldron, appeared in front of him. Glancing at the heaven and earth cauldron, Yi Chen's right hand grasped the void. Two balls of creation qi instantly flew out from the heaven and earth cauldron and flew toward Huang Xing and Huang Su. When the creation qi came into contact with Huang Xing and Huang Su's bodies, it was instantly absorbed by them. In the next second, two qi of enlightenment appeared from Huang Xing and Huang Su's bodies. When Yi Chen saw this, he nodded in satisfaction. With the heaven and earth cauldron, he could save a lot of Tao enlightenment stones. The cauldron of heaven and earth contained the qi of creation. Its function was to improve one's foundation and allow one to enter a state of epiphany. Although there was a limit to the number of times it could be used, the property of allowing one to have an epiphany was real. It was because of the fortune aura's ability to enlighten people that Yi Chen took out the cauldron of heaven and earth when Huang Xing and Huang Su were comprehending the green lotus sword art, and used the fortune aura in the cauldron on Huang Xing and Huang Su. After all, the green lotus sword technique was a chaos-level technique. It was impossible for Huang Xing and Huang Su to fully comprehend it by themselves. Time passed bit by bit. Huang Xing and Huang Su, who were still in a state of epiphany, simultaneously emitted a tyrannical aura. This aura continued to rise until it reached the great circle of the martial general saint level before it completely stopped. Seeing this, Yi Chen could not help but sigh inwardly. Damn it, if only he had met Huang Xing and Huang Su earlier. That way, they could also obtain the title of Heavenly General. Then, they could be like Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, and the others, breaking free from the restrictions of this world's heavenly Tao and increasing their strength without limit. Thinking of this, Yi Chen immediately looked at Huang Xing and Huang Su's attributes panel. When Yi Chen saw that their foundation had both become two-star immortal spirit bodies, the corner of his mouth could not help but curl up. It was fine if they could not break through to the next level. At least their foundation had improved. Thinking of this, Yi Chen could not help but smile. At this moment, the sound of sword aura filling the air rang out one after another. Then, it rapidly increased in number and strength. It was caused by the green sword aura emitted from Huang Xing and Huang Su's bodies. Seeing the green lotus sword aura emitted from Huang Xing and Huang Su's bodies, Yi Chen nodded in satisfaction. The speed of comprehension of the green lotus sword technique was very fast. Not bad after the time it took to drink a cup of tea. The green lotus sword aura emitted from Huang Xing and Huang Su's bodies disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Huang Xing and Huang Su, who had just awoken from their state of enlightenment, opened their eyes simultaneously. In the next second, Huang Xing and Huang Su looked at Yi Chen together. Then, they solemnly bowed and said, "Thank you, Master, for your help." When they first started to comprehend the green lotus sword technique, they clearly felt that the green lotus sword technique was difficult to comprehend. Originally, both of them thought that there was no hope for them to comprehend it. Who would have thought that Yi Chen would make a move and allow them to enter a state of enlightenment? In the end, they completely comprehended the green lotus sword technique. It could be said that without Yi Chen's help, they would not have been able to comprehend the green lotus sword technique. It was also because of this that Huang Xing and Huang Su did not hesitate to thank Yi Chen after they finished comprehending. Hearing this, Yi Chen chuckled and nodded his head. Then, with a wave of his right hand, 2 magic artifact-level longswords, 2 spiritual artifact-level armors, and a spiritual artifact-level longbow appeared in an instant. They flew directly in front of Huang Xing and Huang Su. Looking at the magic artifact-level longswords, spiritual artifact-level armors, and spiritual artifact-level longbows that flew in front of them, Huang Xing and Huang Su were both stunned. Then, their eyes widened at the same time. They had never seen spirit artifacts or Dharma treasures before, but they could feel the powerful pressure emitted by the spirit artifacts and Dharma treasures. Equipment that could emit pressure was obviously not something from the mortal world. It was also because of this that Huang Xing and Huang Su were stunned on the spot. Yi Chen glanced at the stunned Huang Xing and Huang Su. He pointed at the equipment floating in front of them and said, "That's right. Drip your blood on it and you will be able to recognize it as your master." "Thank you, Master, for your gift." After hearing this, Huang Xing's and Huang Su's eyes lit up. Then, they simultaneously bowed toward Yi Chen and said loudly. Their words were filled with gratitude. It could not be helped. Yi Chen had given them too much. They could not help but be moved. After saying this, Huang Xing and Huang Su bit their index fingers without hesitation and dripped their blood onto the equipment in front of them. In the blink of an eye, the 6 pieces of equipment disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, Yi Chen smiled slightly. Then, he looked at Philos Aureus and said, "Woody, this is yours." After saying this, Yi Chen pointed his right index finger at Philos Aureus and tapped it twice. In an instant, 2 streams of information appeared and surged towards Philos Aureus. The moment they touched Philos Aureus, they disappeared without a trace. After receiving the 2 streams of information, Philos Aureus was stunned. At this moment, Yi Chen's right hand pointed at the cauldron of heaven and earth, which was still floating beside him, and sucked in the air. In the next second, a cloud of fortune energy flew out and was slapped by Yi Chen into Philos Aureus's body. Calm your heart and use your heart to comprehend. Don't think too much about other things. After Yi Chen said this, Philos Aureus, who had been shocked by Yi Chen's gift of 2 cultivation techniques, immediately came back to her senses. Then, her heart was filled with sweetness. In the next second, Philos Aureus looked at Yi Chen affectionately and replied sweetly, "Yes, husband." After saying this, Philos Aureus closed her eyes. Soon, a mysterious aura appeared on Philos Aureus's body and became stronger and stronger. Philos Aureus also entered a state of enlightenment and began to comprehend the Green Lotus Sword technique and the Chaos Talisman. Previously, Yi Chen had given these two cultivation techniques to Zhao Yu, Chan Wan, Kai Meier Huang Waner Mizhen, and the five Zhen sisters. Now that Philos Aureus had become Yi Chen's woman, Yi Chen naturally would not favor one and discriminate against the other. Chapter 808. Time passed slowly. When Philos Aureus awoke from her epiphany, Yi Chen immediately summoned a magic treasure sword and handed it to Philos Aureus. When Philos Aureus saw this, a warm current flowed through her heart. In the next second, Philos Aureus called out sweetly to Yi Chen. "Thank you, husband." When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded. Then, he looked at Huang Xing and Huang Su and said, "I'll send you to Reincarnation City. Once you're there, choose 100,000 soldiers as soon as possible. In 3 days, the Reincarnation Immortal City will set off for war." "Yes, my lord." When Huang Xing and Huang Su heard this, their eyes lit up. Then, they bowed and saluted without hesitation. Yi Chen had given them cultivation techniques and equipment. They didn't know how to repay Yi Chen. Now that they heard that there would be war in 3 days, they were naturally excited. After all, they were generals. Only on the battlefield could they prove themselves. Only on the battlefield could they repay Yi Chen. When Yi Chen heard this, he chuckled and nodded. Then, with a thought, the space in the living room instantly distorted. After glancing at the distorted space, Yi Chen said, "Go in. You'll reach the Reincarnation Immortal City." "Yes, my lord, husband." When Huang Xing, Huang Su, and Philos Aureus heard this, they nodded in unison. Then, they walked into the distorted space and disappeared without a trace in a few breaths. After glancing at the empty living room, Yi Chen released his divine sense. In the blink of an eye, Nanyang City was within the range of Yi Chen's divine sense. After a few breaths, Yi Chen's eyes widened. Found it. When he thought of this, Yi Chen activated his divine sense, and the space in front of him instantly distorted. After glancing at the distorted space, Yi Chen stepped into it and disappeared. In the backyard of Huang Xing's old residence in Nanyang City, space suddenly distorted. In the next second, Yi Chen took a step forward and appeared here. Glancing at the overgrown backyard, Yi Chen looked directly at the locust tree sapling that had just grown in the yard for a year. In the next second, Yi Chen raised his right hand and made a grabbing motion. Bang! A loud sound was heard. A large piece of the locust tree sapling in the backyard of Huang Xing's old residence, along with the ground beneath it, instantly flew up, revealing a deep pit that was 5 meters deep. At this moment, a mysterious aura appeared from the deep pit and spread out. Upon sensing this aura, Yi Chen raised his left hand without hesitation and made a grabbing motion in the air. With a "so" sound, a completely cyan small flag with cyan refinement embroidered on it instantly flew out of the deep pit and arrived in front of Yi Chen. Yi Chen's eyes widened when he saw the small green flag flying in front of him. It really was the green lotus flag. With that thought, Yi Chen waved his right hand and the large pile of soil that had just been grabbed instantly returned to its original position. After glancing at the locust tree sapling that had returned to its original position, Yi Chen pointed his right hand into the air, and a bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere and struck the locust tree sapling. After the sizzling sound of electricity, the locust tree sapling, which had been stubbornly growing, was instantly charred black and turned into a pile of ashes that drifted away with the wind. The locust tree sapling was something that Yi Chen had deliberately left behind after killing the locust tree spirit, or rather, a clone. As for the purpose, it was very simple. It was to prevent others from discovering the green lotus flag and to constantly sense the state of the green lotus flag. Of course, most importantly, it was to prevent it from completely disappearing from the world after failing to ascend. Although the locust tree sapling had been deliberately separated from the locust tree spirit and did not have the tree spirit's memories, Yi Chen did not want to let it go. After all, if the locust tree spirit became a spirit, its descendants might become spirits as well. As for the clone it had deliberately left behind, it was even more likely to become a spirit. Even with the restrictions of the heavenly Tao in the Three Kingdoms beginner zone, it was very difficult to become a spirit without special opportunities. However, becoming a Fae was not difficult. Yi Chen did not want to leave such an unstable factor behind and allow it to grow. Then, it would have the opportunity to develop and run to the primordial world to seek revenge on Yi Chen. After all, Yi Chen would soon unify the world and ascend. When that happened, Yi Chen would not be able to pay attention to the beginner zone, much less return to it. Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain as he glanced at the locust tree sapling that had been completely destroyed by the lightning. Then, with a thought, a drop of essence blood was instantly forced out by Yi Chen and dripped onto the green lotus flag in his left hand. In an instant, a red light flashed and Yi Chen's essence blood was completely absorbed by the green lotus flag in the blink of an eye. When Yi Chen's essence blood was completely absorbed, an indescribable connection instantly appeared between Yi Chen and the green lotus flag. When Yi Chen sensed this, the corners of his mouth curled up involuntarily. He had finally obtained it. At that moment, the system's notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for obtaining the Khanate Cardinal Treasure, Green Lotus Flag. When the system's notification ended, Yi Chen let out a long sigh. With the Green Lotus Flag, not only could he use it to cultivate in the primordial world, he could also use it to fight enemies. Not bad, however, it would be even better if he could obtain the other 4 flags. When he thought of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. Then, with a thought, he stored the Green Lotus Flag in his purple mansion. Yi Chen glanced at the Green Lotus Flag in his purple mansion, along with the Godslayer, the Treasure Fall Coin, the 5-element Spirit Pearl, the Cosmic Bow, the Sky-Shaking Arrow, and the purple gold-red gourd. Then, with a thought, the space in front of him instantly distorted. In the next second, Yi Chen took a step into the distorted space and disappeared from there. Luoyang City, Yueli Inn, Sky Room. The space suddenly distorted and Yi Chen, who had just left, appeared there. The instant Yi Chen appeared, anxious footsteps could be heard coming from the stairs. Yi Chen, who had just wanted to organize his gains during this period, couldn't help but frown when he heard this. However, he quickly regained his composure. At that moment, an extremely respectful greeting was heard from the door. Lord Yu of Beach, this servant requests an audience. When Yi Chen heard this, he immediately said, "Come in, come in." As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the little eunuch who had come to the inn to contact Yi Chen on behalf of Zhang Li appeared at the door and walked in with a fawning expression. As soon as he entered the door, the little eunuch bowed respectfully to Yi Chen and said, "This servant pays respects to Yu of Beach." Chapter 809. Hearing this, Yi Chen glanced at the respectful eunuch and asked with a chuckle, "What's the matter? Why are you in such a rush?" "Yu of Beach, your highness, the prince consort's residence has already been tidied up. You cannot remain in the inn any longer." The eunuch immediately smiled flatteringly and bowed. Hearing this, Yi Chen could not help but stare blankly. With an expression of astonishment, he said, "It's been tidied up so quickly? Yu of Beach's matters, not to mention this servant, even Zhang Changsha personally took care of it. He supervised the craftsmen throughout the day for fear of delaying Yu of Beach's wedding and angering Yu of Beach." The eunuch immediately smiled and spoke with a fawning expression. Hearing this, Yi Chen once again stared blankly. Full of sorrow, he sighed. Who would have thought that this prince's wedding would not only trouble eunuch Wang, but also trouble Zhang Changsha? This prince is truly moved, truly moved. Yu of Beach, listen to what you are saying. To be able to work for you of Beech is this servant's duty. Even Zhang Chongshi would be happy to do so. The eunuch immediately smiled and spoke with incomparable flattery. Hearing the eunuch's incomparably fawning words, Yi Chen laughed and said, "No matter what, Eunuch Wang has done for you of Beech. This prince will remember everything that Eunuch Wang and Zhang Chongshi have done for this prince. Tomorrow, at the grand banquet, would Eunuch Wang not mind attending the wedding banquet?" Tomorrow was the day that Yi Chen would marry Princess De Qiao and Princess Changle Shao Qiao. At that time, he would definitely invite guests, or perhaps all of the officials and generals of the court. In such an occasion, a young eunuch was not qualified, regardless of status or position. However, Yi Chen had invited him. In fact, he wanted to use this matter to tell Zhongli that Yi Chen and the eunuchs were on the same line. That was the case in the past, in the present, and in the future. Yi Chen had no choice but to do this. After all, the Dong de rebellion and the dukedom struggle had yet to begin. Yi Chen still needed Zhongli to serve Yi Chen in the imperial court. To be more precise, Yi Chen wanted Zhongli to continue fighting against those civil and military officials who were hostile to Yi Chen, such as He Jin. In this way, Yi Chen could peacefully wait for Dong Da's chaos and the start of the warlord struggle. If Yi Chen directly revealed his true attitude, then not only would Zhongli not continue to help Yi Chen, but he would also turn around and scheme against Yi Chen. This result was not what Yi Chen wanted to see. It was also because of this point that Yi Chen said that he deliberately invited a young eunuch despite knowing that his status was not high enough. When the young eunuch heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he bowed without hesitation. "Many thanks to you, Lord Beech, for the invitation. This servant will definitely come." The young eunuch naturally knew that his status was not high enough to attend the wedding of Yi Chen, the son-in-law of the great Han Empire. However, this did not prevent him from accepting Yi Chen's invitation. This was because he knew what Yi Chen meant. He also knew that, accepting Yi Chen's invitation, was an opportunity for him to gain Zhang Li's favor and gain Yi Chen's recognition. If he did not seize this opportunity, that was at his fingertips, then he could only be a young eunuch in the future. He would never be able to become a great eunuch. This was not the result that the young eunuch wanted to see. It was also because of this that the young eunuch's eyes lit up when he heard Yi Chen's invitation, and he agreed without hesitation. As for the fact that this was against the rules and would lead to gossip, the young eunuch did not care about this. After all, the one who would gossip or scold him would not be Lu Hong, nor would it be Zhongli. It could only be those civil and military officials who normally opposed the eunuch. None of the eunuchs in the eunuch faction were afraid of these people. Furthermore, the king of the underworld, Yi Chen, was a staunch ally of the eunuchs. If one of them went to attend Yi Chen's wedding, would there be a need to fear the civil and military officials? There was no need at all. Of course, this was what the young eunuch thought. Although most of it was wrong, the part where there was no need to worry was true. This was because Yi Chen would not alienate Zhang Li and the other eunuchs during the wedding banquet, and he would not allow the civil and military officials to scold any of the eunuchs. Even if Yi Chen's actions would make the civil and military officials unhappy, Yi Chen would not care. After all, tomorrow was Yi Chen's wedding day. Everything had to be celebrated. No matter who Yi Chen was friendly with, there was nothing wrong with it. No one would be able to find fault with it, and they would not accuse Yi Chen of being in the eunuch faction because of this. This was also one of the reasons why Yi Chen invited the young eunuch. When Yi Chen heard the young eunuch's inexplicably excited words, he couldn't help but smile and say, "All right. When the wedding banquet begins tomorrow, Sir Eunuch should drink a few more cups. Otherwise, this king will not agree. For Lord Yu of Beech to invite me is this servant's good fortune. How could this servant not properly drink to Lord Yu of Beech's wedding banquet?" The young eunuch immediately gave a fawning smile and then respectfully bowed. When Yi Chen heard this, he nodded with a smile and said, "That's right. It's getting late. Let's go to the son-in-law's residence." "Yes, Lord Yu of Beach." The young eunuch hastily bowed and then turned around and shouted, "The son-in-law has returned. Prince Consort Ma has returned. Quickly prepare the carriage." As soon as the eunuch's words fell, the sound of horses galloping and the sound of wheels rolling on the ground could be heard from the main street in an instant. When Yi Chen heard the sound of carriages on the street, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. In the Han dynasty, the emperor rode 6 horses and the vassals rode 4 horses. When it came to me, it became 5 horses. This was probably done by Zhongli. When Yi Chen thought of this, the young eunuch directly bowed to Yi Chen and said, "Lord Yu of Beach, please." When the young eunuch finished speaking, he made a gesture of invitation. When Yi Chen saw this, he chuckled and nodded. Then, he directly walked out. Not long after, Yi Chen arrived at the main street. After that, he saw an extremely luxurious carriage that was pulled by 5 fine horses. Damn, this Zhang Li is really willing to put in the effort to build a good relationship with me. He even made such a luxurious carriage. When Yi Chen thought of this, a group of 200 imperial guards knelt on one knee with a bang and then bowed in unison. "We pay our respects to Lord Yu of Beach." The imperial guards' greetings were very high-pitched, and their words were filled with deep gratitude. When Yi Chen heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then, he realized that these imperial guards were the ones who had been on duty in the imperial palace a few days ago when Li Mubai's soul had possessed Lu Xie and created the regicide and usurping the throne drama. At that time, if Yi Chen hadn't appeared in time to save Lu Hong and plead for mercy for the imperial guards on duty, these imperial guards would have most likely been executed. Most of these people's aptitudes were A, and some were even S rank. It was really a F***king waste for them to be Lu Hong's imperial guards. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.